Good afternoon and welcome to Rebels Radio latest match day broadcast live from Holloway's Park in Buckinghamshire on a sunny blustery afternoon. I'm joined by Adrian. How are you?
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon, everyone.
We are just awaiting the teams to come out onto the pitch. There is a guard of honour.
Yes, loads of the youth team. It's family day here at Slough Town, so a lot of the youth team have come along. Cheap entry for the parents today as well, and that's boosted the crowd.
Yes.
I believe there's about 70 odd kids here today.
Yeah, so the numbers, what are you expecting? Do you think probably about 350?
I think it'll be, maybe a little bit more. Chertsey aren't going to bring a lot of fans with their news that they've had this week. So,
and what news is that, Adrian?
That they've actually resigned from the Southern League. They're second from bottom in the league, and apparently the rumours were that they were planning to be relegated as two supposedly go down, but they've actually resigned before March the 31st. They had a letter saying they were going to move across possibly to the south and west, couldn't do the travelling, so they've resigned from the league and will be playing in the combined counties next season. And
it is a shame. I mean, they were promoted, I think, in 2010-11 up to the Southern League behind Guildford City based upon their ground conditions, because I think at that stage Guildford City didn't have a decent ground.
They still don't have a decent ground. They're still playing around a
running track.
That's
the
it.
Guildford
And
Spectrum.
you watch it from about 26 cabins up or something.
And right next to a car park.
That's the one.
Yeah. Let's just quickly take you through the teams ahead of them coming out onto the pitch. We are in our usual position in the commentary box, the press box. I can see the Slough management team are out, mostly wearing shorts, except for Baker, who's sporting a tracksuit today, just in the shade, having a bit of banter with one of the Chertsey substitutes. To our right is the change room end and the kind of shed end as it was, and then to the left is the M40, it's quite open. We're in the main stand, opposite on the other side away from the cameraman, and we'll take you through the teams. Firstly, the visitors, Chertsey Town. In goal, number 1, Gary Alsbury. Number 2, Steve Brown. 3, Ed Thomas. 4, Matt Morris. 5, Danny Alderton. 6, Billy Wilson. 7, Sam Bafour. 8, Dave Johnson. 9, Alan Musco. 10, Ryan Blake, and 11, Ricky Hodgson. And on the bench for them, they only have 2 subs. Number 12, Khalid Ahmed, and number 14, Chris Payne. I believe that number 8, Dave Johnson, is actually their manager as well.
Yeah. Yes, player manager he is as well. And also number 10 for Chertsey, Ryan Blake, actually started the pre-season with Slough. And we actually had 2 left-sided players, one called Ryan Lake and another one called Ryan Blake.
Quite difficult physique. So, but
thankfully, we weren't commentating then.
No. Well, it's nearly as bad as the Harris and Parsons combinations. Do you want to go through the Slough team?
I'd love to. In goal is Jake Somerville. 2 is Sean Fraser. 3 is Dan Sintim. 4, Guy Hollis. Dave Woosley's back at number 5 and captain of the team. George Short is 6. 7, Johnny Dyer. James McClurg wears 8. Ed Smith is 9. Warren Harris 10. James Dobson is 11. And the subs for today are 12, Ben Edwards. 14, Jake Parsons. 15, Gareth Risbridger. 16, Seb Costello. And 18 is Steve Duff.
And so, yes, if you want to get hold of us at all, please contact us at MyFC Rebels Radio. We're going to be keeping an eye on the other key games and this, and I hope that Slough do get the victory today, which will keep them in the 5th playoff spot and send them into an away game on Tuesday night, either against one of the 4 teams battling out for that top spot, which is between Dunstable, who are on 87 points and in the lead at the moment, Rugby on 86, Daventry on 86, and Kettering on 85. As the teams are just making their way onto the pitch, led by referee John Panconi, assistant Callum Chittenden and Doug Steele, and the local tannoys had their Weetabix, haven't they?
Yes, thankfully someone else is doing that. I was kindly volunteered by someone sitting not too far away for me to do the tannoy today, but someone else kindly took that over for me.
There's a good number of particularly families and youngsters in the ground today. It's nice to see. The weather's thankfully holding up, because the forecast and the rain that's happened this week, I thought we wouldn't be looking out at a kind of sunny and showery day. I thought it was all going to be showers.
Yeah, I was working this morning, John, and it started off a really nice sunny day. By about 10 o'clock it was pouring down with rain, and then here we are getting good sunshine again.
Yeah, there's quite a blustery wind, and the only change really to the Slough team that is noticeable is obviously Woosley comes back in. Simtim, I think, will switch to left full back with Guy and Woosley in the centre, and obviously that puts Ben Edwards down to the bench as the players are just making their way out.
Yeah, Slough in the usual yellow and blue home kit, and Chertsey are in a blue and white striped top with blue shorts and blue socks.
And the Slough fans early trying to get some noise here. There's a good. There's 3 mascots which Dave Woosley's leading out, and I know that there's a lot of anticipation. Hopefully not too much tension, and hopefully the fans will really get behind the Rebels today.
Yeah, they do need to do that. I mean, Monday was quite a poor game, and the fans didn't really have anything to help get them into the mood. But today, all important. Let's get some 3 points. Let's beat the Barton result. Let's get into the playoffs and let the management team take it from there.
Yeah, it will be really interesting. At present, with us obviously sitting 5th, the maximum we can achieve as Rebels is 5th. But if Barton better our result today, i.e. if we only draw and Barton win, then Barton will steal that 5th playoff position, and then we'll play away in the first of the semi-finals, which will happen likely Tuesday night. And at the moment, it will be away to Rugby Town.
Tuesday apparently is the day. The guy that organises the away team travel has a piece of paper with the 4 teams on, who we could possibly play, and 4 different kick-off times to see where we can actually meet and try and get somewhere.
Yes, yeah. At the moment, if it stays as it is and all the teams above us win, so Dunstable today are at home to Uxbridge, which will be quite a challenge. Uxbridge on quite a decent run of form recently. Second in the table is Rugby. Rugby travel to AFC Hayes, which again is not an easy place to go, particularly if the pitch is a little bit damp. Daventry are at home to Chalfont, which would sound the easier of the 3 ties. And finally, Kettering. Kettering are on the road down at North Greenford United. Again, you'd expect Kettering to beat that. So if I was a Kettering or Daventry fan, you'd still think there might be a little bit of hope.
Daventry had a poor result midweek, John, so maybe the Kettering fans are sitting there hoping that with a bit of luck Dunstable lose. Can't really see Dunstable losing, but like you say, Uxbridge, very good team, always cause a lot of teams problems, so it'd be interesting to see how it goes today.
Yeah, if you want to contact us at all, please do at MyFC's Rebels Radio, or email rebelsradio@outlook.com, or alternatively we are on both forums for the MyFC and also the Slough Town FC forum, so just send us a little note, let us know where you're watching it from, whether you're a Slough or Chertsey fan, what you're interested in the game is, and perhaps who your favourite player is. I know there's voting going on today before the game for Slough Player of the Season, isn't there?
Yeah, Player of the Month for March and April, and also Player of the Season. I won't tell you who I voted for. I wouldn't want to influence anyone's votes.
No. I'm not sure if you can vote online, unfortunately, but yes, it's interesting. And there's also the awards evening that's been announced. I think is it the 9th of May?
Yeah, Friday the 9th of May is the presentation night. I believe there's a race night as well, which is normally the thing that they do. Gets a little bit of extra money going in, and we're got the captains in the middle.
Yep, captains in there. Chertsey in royal blue shorts, royal blue socks, and the royal blue and white striped shirts are off to the left-hand half, and they're in a small huddle at the moment. The teams appear to be staying as they are, so Slough will shoot from right to left, slightly down the hill towards the M40. Sun in their eyes a little bit in this first half, but it's the way they prefer to play, so we now expect to see all the Slough fans making their way to congregate behind the goal. Put your flag up behind there, won't they, Adrian?
Yeah, I hope someone's going to put my flag up. They did take it today, thankfully. Just looking at the Chertsey team, they all look really small apart from the 2 centre-backs. The number 4, which is Matt Morris, is an absolute man mountain, and his number 5 is his Danny Alderton, is their partner. They're the only 2 players who look to be over 5'8".
Yeah, Slough certainly have a height advantage. I can see Dobson just on the near side inside of us. Normal 4-4-2 for Slough with Simpson at left back, Woosley and Guy Hollis in the centre. Sean Fraser right back, right midfield Warren Harris, centre of midfield Jamie McClurg and George Short, left midfield Dobson, and then up front Ed Smith and Johnny Dyer, the ginger twosome.
Yeah, pitch looks a bit hard in places, John. You can see where the bare patches are around the centre spot and the goal mouth. But it doesn't look like they've been watered. It looks quite hard and dry.
Yeah, it was. When I had a walk around on there earlier, it's surprising. Although it looks quite lush and grassy, the ball is really bobbly. As the referee, John Panconi, gets us underway, and immediately Chertsey hit the ball out towards the left-back Simpson, who deals with the header well, but the ball goes out of play. Yeah, the ball is bouncing around. If any of you saw any of the rugby highlights or were here last weekend, it's similar. I think it might have just taken the edge off. There was a few decisions to make as to whether you'd wear whether studs or moulds, but I think in the end most people went for moulds because it's still not quite soft enough to take a stud. Ball bobbling around and once again out of play on the near side in front of us. It is bouncy, isn't it?
Very bouncy, and it's, as you said before, John, it's very windy today. I think that's going to have a real effect on the game. It seems to be blowing across the pitch rather than affecting the ball going further or longer. It's going to go across, so we'll see how that pans out during the game. If
you've joined us late, we are just literally underway. We've played less than a minute here at Holloway's, blustery, sunny Holloway's at the moment. The ball's in Steve Brown's hands for Chertsey near side to us. Chertsey shooting left to right, and they are at the moment in the Slough half, just taking some throws. And the cross comes in from Brown, and it's bobbling around in the area. And Somerville's forced into a save, a great save early on with his hands, but it's still not clear by Slough. And finally, McClurg sends Warren Harris on his way, but that was an early chance for Chertsey.
Yeah, the bounce of the ball totally deceived Sean Fraser there. It bounced over his head, and it was a good chance for Chertsey. Jake did really well.
Yeah, he stood up high, but again, Chertsey are now attacking in the far corner, in the near corner, with Woosley up against the attacker of Mussoak, and they skin him around the box. And Somerville does well to come out and snaffle at the feet of Blake.
Very good start from Chertsey, very enterprising, and rumour was that they were very good down the right-hand side. And number 7, Sam Before, looks a very tricky player, and they've got a couple of good strikers up front, so
yeah,
they're doing well.
Mussoak there causing some problems, and they seem to again have started brightly as the kick goes long from Somerville, and just being played around at the back by Chertsey, and a poor clearance back which forces Aldsbury to clear the ball out long and high, and a good number of Slough fans have made it now to the goal behind Aldsbury down to our left. Put up a flag. Is that your flag?
That is my flag.
Your flag is in position. That is great news. As Simpson, who's got a quite long throw down in front of us, will take a throw 10 yards inside his own half. We've played 2 minutes here at Holloway's. Game yet to settle. Ball up the line, flicked on by Dobson to Johnny Dyer. Johnny Dyer looks like a young boy today. He's had a shave, and then a long crossfield ball over Fraser's head in the direction of Hodgson, and there's a little bit of
he's gone out for a corner.
Little bit of a mix-up, and it's gone out for a corner on the far side. So the first corner of the game, 2.5 minutes played, and Chertsey take it very quickly, and so now they'll look to get it in the box. The Slough haven't yet set themselves up properly. It's down in the left-hand corner, and once again blocked by Fraser. And it's out for another corner. So Chertsey really started well and applying the pressure. Anyone who thought they might come here and lie down, they'll be sorely mistaken.
But they've got no pressure on them, have they, John? You know, they know that they're going down, so they can play with freedom and enjoy the game of football, which they mostly don't do normally. Like you say, they've been at the bottom of the table, fighting a freeway battle for a long time of the season at the relegation spots, and now they can go out there and enjoy themselves.
Browns in swinging corner from the far side, deep towards the far post. Simpson flicks it out for another corner, this time on the near side. Chertsey applying early pressure here. In what is great conditions, and Brown's making his way, it looks like, all the way across. He's not the slightest of fellas, is he?
No, he's taking his time. He's got a bit of a build to him, should we say?
Oh, sorry, actually, no, I'm doing him injustice. It's actually Ed Thomas, the left-back, who's taking this one. So another in-swinger here from the right-hand corner this time, and we're just waiting for it to come. Plenty of movement in the box. Lower, towards the near post. Good header, I think it was by McClurg there, just avoided it going in at the near post, and once again they're applying
headed
pressure.
that across. He's got to flick onto that, and as an attacking team, you'd be hoping to get on the end of that, but Chertsey looking very dangerous at the moment.
Ball comes out, and Warren Harris gets bundled over on the edge of the Slough box, so it will be a free kick, an opportunity to have a little bit of a respite. It's quite a good day, I would think, to play football. Apart from a little bit of the blustery wind, it's not too hot. The sun's out,
nice and sunny, nice and warm. There'll be quite a few water drinks, I reckon. This sun's quite nice out there. The players will be very thirsty.
As Somerville, in his red kit, kicks the ball long. Johnny Dyer's underneath it, but the linesman's flag's up. The referee hasn't acknowledged it as yet, and the ball's been headed back to Aldsbury, and I think we're going to just play advantage. The referee acknowledges now the assistant's flag on the far side, and so Aldsbury, the Chertsey keeper, with his ball in his hand in grey shirt, black shorts, clears it out of his hands and down left, and Simpson's interested, but also the first person to the ball looks like Baffour, but the ball's bobbling around. This is really hard pitch, and ball's falling to Baffour, and Simpson up against him, but flicked on, and now Woosley's under pressure down in near their own touchline, but guides it out well for a goal kick. And
that's what Slough have missed the last 2 games, John, there. Woosley, with his calming influence, he's just guided that ball out. His leadership will be great. Just a little thing about Gary Aldsbury in goal for Chertsey. He actually played, this is his 4th game against Slough this season. Once we played Chertsey in the League Cup, beat them 3-0. We played them earlier in the season where we beat them 4-1. And he also played for Hollyport in pre-season friendly. He got substituted when they were 6-0 down.
The ball's broken in the centre circle to Warren Harris, and Warren Harris has now passed out to Sean Fraser, midway inside the Chertsey half. Short ball to George Short. George in towards Ed Smith, takes a couple of touches to try and control it, but he's in a little bit of battle, but comes out best with the ball, and then seemed to be fouled there, but still carrying on, playing with good feet as he goes towards the edge of the box, but cleared well there by Morris, and Chertsey may now have the opportunity to attack with Mussoak under pressure, clips the ball up long, but easy fodder for Woosley all afternoon, and now Hollis has the ball, clips it down the line in the direction of Warren Harris, but once again Alderton, the captain for Chertsey, clears that ball away, and Chertsey come away with the ball out in the right back position with Brown. Brown has an opportunity, cuts back inside, and now under pressure from Johnny Dyer, Good pass there through the centre to Billy Wilson. Wilson now under pressure, and Johnny Dyer coming in with quite an agricultural type challenge, and the ball is bobbling around, yet to settle, but Chertsey are doing well as Mazoke comes away from Simpson, running well across the middle of midfield, still with the ball at his feet, on the edge of the D, leaves it for Wilson. Wilson out left to, I would think that will be Hodgson. Hodgson on the left wing, plays it off Fraser, wins the throw in for Chertsey Town, and we had some visitors there. What were those visitors?
I don't understand the numbers, but that's Billy Wilson on the far side that had the ball then.
Oh, was it? Okay. I thought he played it out there. Oh. I thought Wilson was the slightly gingery one here in midfield. Anyway. Yes, they are playing in a slightly odd formation, shall we say, as the ball's thrown into the feet of Masoke on the far side and now clipped in high. That should be Somerville's all day long, and he does well under a little bit of pressure there from Blake, who I'm sure would like to put in a decent performance against Slough, but Somerville quickly throws the ball out to Dobson, just inside his own half down the left. A ball into the corner for Johnny Dyer to get under control. He's under pressure from the Chertsey defenders, and Dobson plays the ball into one of the centre midfielders, David Johnson, the player manager, and it will be a Slough throw in 15 yards inside. We've played about 7 minutes here, still goalless, no real clear chances apart from one excellent Somerville save that Chertsey had within the first minute.
Yeah, the Chertsey bench looking very, very sparse. There's literally an assistant manager, a guy who could well be a player assistant manager, and then a substitute. It's the loneliest bench I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I definitely think we need to get Gary House to take a photo of that, or someone to take a photo of it. It is literally the Slough bench is crowded. Quite a few people were. Well, it's got Fowler in there with his crutches. And his foot up, I can see, and Kev over there, and Jake Parsons standing up. As you're not missing much on the pitch at the moment. It's in the Chertsey half, and Chertsey now clear long. Hollis should have that, heads it up in the air towards Fraser. Fraser's got a moment to get it under control, chests it down, not on the bang of halfway, but gives the ball away there. But thankfully, so did Chertsey, and now it's in the left back position with Simpson. Simpson just trying to keep the ball in play, has a little moment, cuts inside, ball to Woosley, and Woosley clips the ball up long. George Short underneath it, battling well. McClurg now picks it up in midfield. It's all a little bit hectic, yet to settle. Slough not keeping the ball on the grass long enough, and McClurg's pass is misplaced. And then it looks like Masoke down the right is onside. Can he keep that ball in? No, he can't. This isn't the highest quality yet, Adrian.
It's not, but Chertsey are causing Slough a lot of problems, and not only when they've got the ball, but when they haven't got the ball, every player is working really hard. And Masoke, the number 9, he's playing just off Dave Woosley's shoulder. He's got to be really careful about that.
As the throw just comes up the line, headed back with a bit of interest by before, and now Simpson rises well, heads the ball, flicked on by Short. Now Johnny Dyer on the halfway line will play to Warren Harris, just onto the right of Son Harris, bobbling away, so he's got to take a few moments to get it under control, and then Hodgson's back chasing, clipping at his heels, but Warren Harris driving towards the edge of the box, passes it in, it's into the area, and just overrun by Dobson, and Dobson almost rugby hugs the goalkeeper there as he was after the loose bobbling ball, and that was a good run by Warren Harris.
Good run by Warren, but the ball that came to him, it came across the centre circle and it bobbled horribly.
As the long clearance from Alsbury doesn't challenge anyone, and it's now through to Somerville, who's up towards the edge of his 18-yard box in his all-red kit with bright yellow and green dizzy boots, rolls the ball out. We'll just have an opportunity to try and hopefully pick a pass. This is key, I think, for Slough's game, and a low-driven ball to Dobson. Dobson flicks it on in the direction of Johnny Dyer to the left and dealt with and safely out of play for a Slough throw. Slough's tempo's not quite there
yet.
No,
they need someone to put their foot on it and get some tempo going. They're just lacking a bit of cohesion at the moment.
Yes, an attempted 1-2 there between Johnny Dyer and Dobson comes to naught, and the ball's now out again, and Simpson's battling away hard. That's going to be an interesting battle all afternoon between Simpson there and Masoke, but Simpson again does well. He's seemed very solid and assured in all the games he's played really so far for Slough.
Yep, good player.
As Short's battling around in midfield. Through ball to Johnny Dyer, and then Johnny Dyer's first time ball without really looking doesn't find its intended target, Warren Harris, and Chertsey have the opportunity to clear now on their left, with Hollis coming across to cover quickly, puts boot to ball and clips it out the line towards Warren Harris, and it's bouncing around horribly, and Ed Smith jumps under it, and now once again the ball's outright with Chertsey, and Chertsey struggling to get the ball under control there with Dobson pressing back to Brown as right back, and Brown now under a lot of pressure from Dobson finally gets up the line to Bafour, and Johnny Dyer, has he hurt himself there? No, he's just done a backwards roly-poly on the floor, and Woos comes up high, and Woos is hurt. Woos is down injured. Is the referee going to stop this? No, he's playing advantage. Ball clipped through by Dobson towards Ed Smith, but it's bouncing around, and now I think the referee's seen that he's injured, but Woosley has got up and is still playing on, and a long ball through it. Looks like he's holding his right arm quite gently.
I think he landed on his ribs, John, so he might be just a little bit winded.
I'm hoping it's not anything to do with his shoulder. Let's just see now. The ball's gone out of play. Let's just have a moment. The referee's doing well here and just seeing if he needs any attention. I think that's decent from John Panconi there.
Good referee, and I think we've had him a couple of times this season before, John. He's done very well. He's very talkative, and one of the few referees to play with a smile on his face as well.
Yeah, I'm always sceptical of referees that smile. As play is back once again underway, and the ball's bobbling around the midfield with George Short heading the ball in the direction of Johnny Dyer, but a crushing header there, and there's a little bit of afters there off the ball. It's a little bit edgy in there between Dyer and Alderton, the captain, and Slough still have the ball, trying to clip it through, but Johnny Dyer's ball will roll harmlessly out for a goal kick, and it's just not quite coming off yet.
No, the problem with Slough had for the last 3 games is trying to get everything down and keep it on the floor. And again today, it's 2 long balls up again, and the 2 centre backs for Chertsey, big lads, are clearing every single ball. Slough need to get it more on the floor and play to their strengths and get people like Dobson and Warren Harris behind the back 4.
Keep an eye on those other league scores out there for us. Let us know if you see anything on Twitter. Please contact us at MyFC Rebels Radio. We do have a live kind of league table that we will try and update if we get chance, if the game here is not too exciting. I think Slough would really like to get a couple of early goals here and put the result to bed, and then have the opportunity to really perhaps try a few different things that they may use in the playoffs. As the ball is played through and Johnny Dyer just gets clattered there by Ed Thomas, and there will be a free kick to Slough 10 yards from the D in the Chertsey half to the right.
You said Ed Thomas earlier was a bulky man, and poor old Johnny Dyer just ran into him and bounced off, and very lucky to get a free kick there. That was just a stronger man, I think.
Yes, so Dobson is stood over it with his left foot because it's out slightly to the right hand side of the pitch, and Dobson will look to curl it in with his left foot. All the big players. Slough have quite a tall team out there today. Simpton up at the far post, Short in there, Woosley in there, Ed Smith in there, as Dobson runs up, left-footed, curls the ball in, headed well clear initially by Morris, but it's bobbling around in midfield, and now a testing ball which has Fraser and Mussoke interested in. Mussoke just seems more concentrated on pushing Fraser off the ball, but it's still up between Mussoke and now before's been played in on the near side, up against Hollis, going down into the right-hand corner, level with the edge of the penalty area, but the ball's bobbling around, and Woosley and Somerville are having an awful mess up, and there's almost a comedy of errors.
Terrible. As before got the ball through, there was no Chertsey player inside the box. Woosley picked the ball up, tried to back pass it. Jake obviously shouted. He decided to leave it, and then I think it was Masoke or before just tried to get in and poke it past the goal in the near post. But the lack of communication, that, John, terrible.
Yeah, that was almost a comedy of errors, almost reminded me slightly of the Marlow goal that we conceded with Max Oberschmidt, when he just kicked under the ball because Woosley did well to control it, and some of it was directly behind it. I think Woosley should have either left it completely or just completely cleared it initially, but it was almost like when the Chertsey player snuck in and there's a little bit of bouncing around in the midfield. I think McClurg thought he was fouled there by Wilson, and it was just battling off, and in clattered Dave Johnson, the joint manager. But now before for Chertsey, plays the ball into the edge of the box. Nice touch off there from Masoke, but it doesn't come to anything, and I think Somerville will be happy to just hold this ball for a few moments and take a few
bit of time out of this game.
As the sun is remaining dominant here, as the player manager picks it up, hooks the ball out right for Chertsey, has it back in the centre of midfield, and Johnny Dyer comes in with a tackle, wins it off him, and Jamie McClurg now tries to play an overcomplicated ball to Ed Smith. Ed Smith hadn't anticipated that run, and it's once again through to Alsbury.
Yeah, it was number 8 for Chertsey, Dave Johnson, player manager. He actually just stood on the ball, and he fell over, and the ball went one way, and Johnny Dyer picked it up and just overhit the ball through there.
Apparently it's 1-0 to Rugby. So that's one of the scores that's coming in early doors. Egham 0, Leighton 1. Beaconsfield are trailing 1-0 at Potter's Bar. None of which are really affecting us here. But yeah, apparently Rugby. I've just had a tweet that Rugby are winning. Rugby are 1-0 up. So there we go. See, lots of different people, all sorts of different people tweeting. Maybe they're listening. Let's hope so. Even if they're in the ground. As McClurg's got the ball on halfway, short little pass to Dobson inside, 10 yards inside the Chertsey half. Back to McClurg. McClurg now outright in front of the dugout to Fraser. Fraser now clips the ball through to Ed Smith. Ed Smith runs over it, but it's well read there by Captain Alderton and cleared out for a Slough throw-in. Slough just need to get a foothold in this game.
They just need a bit of a chance. Every time they get the ball, Chertsey are always into them. It's very good play by Chertsey.
and the ball's now clipped long. Woosley and Somerville, let's hope their communication's a little bit better this time. And that ball's gone racing all the way through to Somerville. He'll roll it out quickly across the pitch to Simpton. And Simpton's under pressure there early on, but he's quite composed and quite relaxed and clips the ball out right, but not to anyone in particular. And it's just out on halfway. That wasn't the best play there, I would say, by Simpton. But I think
couldn't see, John. Someone stood up in front of me and I couldn't see anything.
Chertsey now once again on the attack. The ball's out of play. It will be an attacking throw-in, level with the edge of the penalty box, far side in front of the 2 burger vans. I'm not sure whether they were expecting these children to be very hungry, but they've brought 2 burger vans in today.
I think the other one's defunct at the moment.
Sorry, what did you say?
Defunct.
Okay, good. I was just checking on that. I know this is pre-watershed and we're not allowed
It's not a music band.
Okay. Yeah, let's not go into that too much. It might all get a little bit too risque for this mid-afternoon Saturday jaunt as it. We've played 16 minutes here at Holloway's. It remains 0-0. Chertsey have had 2 opportunities though. One through their own doing and one through Slough's kind of lack of composure, but the ball's running through to Alsbury to our left, and he clears the ball long and high, and Simpson's underneath it to head the ball back into midfield. McClurg now tries to take a moment of time to get the ball under, pays it out to Dobson on the halfway line on the left, clips the ball in, but these passes aren't finding yellow shirts, and now there's a little bit of dispute about whose throw that was, but they just don't seem to be finding those yellow shirts.
No, before the number 7 for Chertsey, he's very energetic. He's getting out to that game really quick. Every time Dobson's got the ball, he's out there straight away. Good play by the young lad.
Yes, so it's yet to settle. It's frustrating, I would say. It's nervy as Hollis comes in. Now Dobson has a moment inside his own half, just clips the ball in the direction of Ed Smith, but well read there by Thomas. And Thomas now comes across, but Chertsey might be playing themselves into trouble. Playing it back to Alsbury, and the ball doesn't bobble. It stays true, which is lucky. And now the ball gets cleared up towards the halfway line, and Dobson loses out there, but the throw-in will go to Slough, and Simpton will have it just inside our own half. We've played almost 17 and a half minutes. It remains goalless. No clear chances for Slough. That throw from Simpton was well over Dobson's head. Didn't really give him a chance, but flicked back by Blake now, and now Blake's trying to combine, and the assistant hit on the near side signal that there was a foul there, I think, on Massouk, so Chertsey will have a foul.
I think it was Woosley into the back of Massouk there.
And Simpton did his best to slow that down, but got nutmegged from the free kick, which he was trying to prevent. And Chertsey now breaking into the box, well cut out by Hollis, but it's a little bit too close for comfort. And now Dobson has got plenty of time to pick our pass, and he's chipped a ball through, but again, it's a bit hopeless in the direction of Johnny Dyer, but wasn't really accurate. I think they'd do better to try and keep hold of the ball and get a bit of composure, get a bit of understanding.
Yeah, they're rushing it, John, aren't they? Every time they get in the ball, they're just looking for a ball across the top, and the 2 centre-backs are winning every single thing.
Yeah,
got to take their time, play it on the floor and get round them.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a great deal of height there at the back between Morris and Alderton. Alderton with a lot of experience, and you're not going to beat them in the air. As good free kicks headed on by Johnny Dyer into Ed Smith inside the Chertsey half, but then his pass back to McClurg's under hit. McClurg sends McClurg scrambling. McClurg does well to get it to Fraser. Now short on the edge of the box on the right hand side of the pitch, deep inside Chertsey half. Plays it across to for a cross to be brought in, but unfortunately Morris is there once again, but that was better from Fraser down the right. And now Short's picked it up again. Fraser with Fraser outside him, but he chooses not to use him. Clips it towards the deep far post. Dobson rises well, heads the ball across, and it's bobbling around in the air and headed almost an own goal there. Almost an own goal by Billy Wilson as the ball was bobbling around. He was trying to head it out, but he headed it only towards the top corner, and that was Slough might not be the first team to score, but they may go a lead.
A bit like the Southampton game, wasn't it? 2 own goals, put them 2-0 up. Slough almost gained there from a really good save, though, from the keeper. That was going top corner.
If this is your first time listening to Rebels Radio, welcome. I hope you're enjoying it. Contact us at MyFC's Rebel Radio as the corner comes in from Dobson on the left. Flicked on, great header there away by the Chertsey defender, but only as far as Warren Harris on the far side. Clips it towards the far post. Simpson's there. Simpson heads it straight in the direction, and then straight in the direction of Alsbury. And then this second chance fell straight back to him, and Alsbury pounced on it after Simpson had 2 chances.
Great header by Dan Simpson. He was clear at the back space. Good save. And then he's just tried to hit the ball past Alsbury as he's laying on the floor. And as he's laying on the floor, he's put a hand out and
Alsbury thinks someone's injured now. He's cleared the ball straight out to touch. I can't see anyone injured.
I think he was passing to us.
Oh yeah. Well, perhaps he saw you in a Slough shirt. But that was a good cross in, a good deep cross from Warren Harris out on the right. Better from Slough this last 5 minutes. They seem to have woken up a little bit. They seem to be putting Chertsey under a bit more pressure. But the player manager Johnson seems to be controlling the ball well in midfield for Chertsey. And Hollis comes through there well, wins the ball, and now has Harris interested down on the far right, and Ed Smith on the right hand edge of the box. With a Chertsey player around him, but it falls out to Fraser. Fraser chips the ball deep towards the far post. Johnny Dyer and Dobson underneath it. Johnny Dyer's touch back in the direction of Dobson. Different wavelengths, and now Chertsey have the chance to counter-attack. It's almost a bit like basketball at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Slough had a better play there, John, but it was all because George Short was playing a lot further up the field. He was actually right behind the top four of the two wingers and the strikers, and that's what they need. There's a massive gap.
As Warren Harris breaks through to the centre of midfield, overhits his pass to Ed Smith, but Ed Smith will still pick it up just in time. Tries to get across him, but it's blocked there by the centre defender, and it's a corner to Slough. Slough coming into it. They need to make this
better
pressure
by
count.
Slough, but they're doing what they should be doing, and that's playing the ball on the floor and through the defence rather than trying to knock the ball over the top. It's a corner on the far side. Dobson going to take it.
And once again, the big lads from the back come on. George Short started quite well for me.
George Short is a much better player when he plays further up the field. He scored an absolute stormer of a goal in the reverse fixture against Chertsey earlier in the season.
As the ball comes in, whips in from the far side, and the keeper comes and punches. Doesn't get a lot of contact on it. It'll be running out for a throw-in on the near side, unless the.
I think Before's kept it in, but Woosey's won it back.
And now it's with Warren Harris on the near side. Chips it towards the far post. No players underneath it. Easy for Aylesbury, and the danger has been averted. But temporarily, Warren and Dobbo are going to have a little switch because they're just doing well there because Dobson was on the far side taking the corner now. So Warren Harris is now defending down the left. He's up against here Before with the ball, and before just playing simply there with Wilson in the middle, but Wilson gives it away to Jamie Leclerc, who's quick use of the feet, does well, beats the player, but then misplaced pass, and the ball's once again with Chertsey in possession. And now George Short, over elaborate pass, only puts it through to Ricky Hodgson on the left hand side, who's now got the chance to run at Fraser, plays it down wide, but once again Hollis, who started very, very well, puts the ball out of play towards the deserted Chertsey bench.
It's good play there by Slough. George Short just gave that away, but the problem that Chertsey have is, apart from 9, Masouk, who does look like a striker, Ryan Blake, who's playing up front alongside him, is actually a left-sided player. And when he was at Slough, he either played left back or left wing, and he's playing centre. So we'll see how he reacts to his new role.
Yeah, if you want to contact us at MyFC Rebels Radio or rebelsradio@outlook.com if you want to email us, as Chertsey are on the edge of the Slough box here, played the ball off the referee, who just got slightly in the way, and now Dobson picks it up, clears it with his wrong foot up in the direction of Johnny Dye. He's on halfway, does well, and now it's a foot race between Ed Smith and Captain Alderson. Alderson should win that all day long. He's just done a good dummy, and with his left foot cleared it well, but that was quite a short play there.
Yeah, but the speed that he had was slower than a hair there. Ed Smith got easily past him there.
And Slough still attacking now, down on the right side. An over-elaborate flick, though, from Smith gives Chertsey the opportunity to clear, but they clear it only up as far as Dobson on the edge of the D inside the Chertsey half, and Dobson now with Masouk for company up against him, decides to take him on and run, tries to cross in a ball, low bouncing ball, well cleared by Chertsey, but only up as far as Woos, who's come out of defence. Some strong challenges in there between Wilson and Woosley, but Woosley does well, and now the opportunity for Blake inside the centre circle, puts a ball in for a running foot race, but it looks like Fraser's got the legs there all day long on Hodgson, and will see the ball out for a goal kick, which he does well. Good defending there from Fraser.
Unlucky there. It's a good break from Chertsey, and I think if it had been played to the right-hand side where Before or Masouk was, that would have been a better chance, but Hodgson was a little bit slower, and Sean Fraser did well to see that one out.
Yes, so it's all interesting here. Not a lot of other scores going on in the division at the moment as it stands. Live table, if it stays as it is, it's still 0-0 at Uxbridge, so it would be Rugby that are champions if it stays as it is, and that would mean a trip for Slough to Dunstable on Tuesday night, which there was a famous, quite controversial game there in early December, so I think that would be a real mouth-watering encounter.
As long as the cameraman's there to catch any irrelevant refereeing decisions, that would be great.
Yeah, I think unfortunately though, if it's only that 90-minute, that cup final, irrespective of what the referee's decisions are, you need to get it right on the day, because otherwise you can't moan next season if you're still in this division. As the ball's cleared there by Aylesbury, under a little bit of pressure there from Smith, but Chertsey have done well to get it cleared. This game's still not settled into a fixed routine, as Woosley, I think, will head this ball back high to Somerville. It has Somerville on his toes, doing well to keep the ball in, with the bounce of the pitch still being very hard, and the clouds just come over slightly over Holloway's here, and it's the sun's just gone in.
Yeah, I think Jake might be a bit of a basketball player. That was one of those kind of catches, and he thought he was going to just throw it round his back like a Harlem Globetrotter, but he kept the ball on there.
Thankfully he didn't, but once again, free header there for the Johnson in middle of midfield, and once again it's Johnson for Chertsey midfield, but now Leclerc heads it down in the direction of Short, and Short now has a moment to pick a decent pass, opts for the simple ball out to Fraser. Fraser now back inside to Short. Short to Warren Harris. Ball bobbling around. Appeals for handball, but Harris chips the ball into the edge of the box with Ed Smith. Edge of the 18-yard box, trying to get a tight chance to shoot, but still facing away from goal. Had one shot block, still got the ball, but then under hits a pass, and now it will have before the opportunity to attack down the right, up against Simpson, knocks the ball past. Nothing doing there. Simpson just stood his ground. Before was looking for it all day long.
So the few Chertsey fans in the stand in front of us there is before knocked it past, just ran into Simpson, and
Simpson stood there, held his ground, didn't need to do anything. And I think before, who's a slight smaller man compared to Simpson, didn't have really much chance. I think he's now learned that Mr. Panconi, the referee's not going to buy any of that.
Well done by the referee for not falling for that one.
As the ball's flicked on by Dobson, and now Warren Harris running towards the edge of the box, cuts back inside, has a shot with his left foot which is blocked and now cleared by Johnson, and the ball's now on halfway. Slough have almost a siege now as Short picks it up on the edge of the D in the centre circle. Long crossfield ball in the direction of Dobson, which Dobson heads back inside towards Johnny Dyer. Johnny Dyer trying to use his strength, but he's in an offside position. The referee's assistant signalled, and Panconi this time decides there isn't any advantage, so the ball's going to go back. Ed Smith lets the referee's assistant know what he thinks of that decision, and we're, as we are, still goalless after 26 minutes here at Holloway's.
Yeah, very quiet as well, John. The Slough fans, I know it's not the shed end, which they normally like to make a bit of noise, but they're very quiet today, and they've not really got into the game and got behind the team, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and I think that is important. They can be a 12th man, particularly on a day like today when they do have that opportunity to do that. As the clearance comes along from Alsbury and well up by Simpson, who's started very, very brightly and well and clipped through. And Ed Smith now run off the back of his centre defender, heads it back into the direction of Johnny Dyer, who now tries to cross it across, but Wilson's there to take it off Harris's feet, and now it'll be the left back who slices it clear and just alleviates the pressure a little bit. Thomas with a wild clearance there. It's stayed in.
Just still on? No.
And Hollis finally picks the ball up, and just I think Simpson and some of the others are just signalling to slow it down. Slough management team are just gesticulating on the far side. Cameraman up in his position above them, just capturing all the moments there, so that hopefully later in the week you'll be able to see a highlight of what we hope will be lots of Slough goals. But I'm hoping that I think that after 26, 27 minutes they'd have hoped to have been a little bit further ahead, as Woosley then is forced into a hurried kind of clearance under a little bit of pressure from Masoke, and it's either
is it corner?
I believe it's probably a corner in that on the very, very far side as he sliced it with his wrong foot.
I think that was caught by the young lady that works in the T-bar. So
not literally in the T-bar. It wasn't. She wasn't in the T-bar as she calls it. But it's a corner to Chertsey, which right back Steve Brown, who isn't quite as large as Ed Thomas. Let's not get those two confused again. It's not very.
It wasn't me, it was you.
Oh, let's not start that. All right. Who got Wilson right? Anyway, we won't go into that. as Steve Brown on the far side, under shade of the tree, clips it in towards the far post. Somerville was dangerously underneath it, but Woosley came to his rescue and headed the ball behind on the far side for another corner. And now our favourite Ed Thomas is coming over for an in-swinging corner.
He's not the kind of guy you, without trying to be rude, he's not the kind of guy you want to meet in a dark alley. He's a big, bulky guy, so I'd hate to see if he takes a free kick from anywhere outside the box. He's going to have a shot and a half on him.
I've just had a missed call from a girlfriend. Does she not listen?
I didn't know you had a girlfriend.
Obviously not, as we're waiting for this free kick to be
Have you not told her that you do radio on a Saturday?
Maybe I haven't, or maybe it's some feedback for me. As the ball's whipped him towards the near post, and McClurg has to head off the line as it went almost directly into the goal. And the ball's now out on the near side, and Woos.
Johnny Dyer's got it,
done well
but
to
instead of throwing for Chertsey.
Long throw from Steve Brown, and George Short tries to clear it, but it's still in the box. Careful not to go into any challenges as Musoke tries to run the ball in, but runs it out for a goal kick. Yeah, I'm not sure why she's trying to contact me and phone me. Perhaps obviously doesn't listen. Obviously isn't a Rebels fan, so perhaps that's a note for me to take away and work on. As Somerville quickly takes the kick off the deck, plays it out on the floor to Fraser. Fraser just inside his own half, clips a long ball up to Ed Smith, but the ball bobbled on him and he didn't quite get under control. His head doesn't seem quite in it today, Ed, from the few touches he's had.
You haven't left the gas on or anything, have you, at home?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I hope not. Perhaps I don't know. Perhaps something's happened. The car's burning. I'm sure she'll phone again. Tweet at MyFC Rebels Radio if you want my attention. That's what I'd suggest. As Simpson ball bobbles on him and he clears it out over the empty away dugout, and it will be a throw-in on the far side. John Underwood's just rushing to give them a ball back, not wanting to waste any times. Rugby, as far as we're aware, are still in the box seat as it stands. Oh no, Dunstable have scored. Chris Marsh, huge goal in the championship. So Dunstable have taken the lead. Kettering have taken the lead. It's all kicking off right now. So the only one of the top four that aren't winning at the moment is Daventry. So as the ball's going through to Somerville clears it up and will clear the ball long shortly. But yes, as far as we're aware, the big game, as far as Slough are concerned, is Barton is still not leading, but Kettering are a goal to the good, Dunstable are a goal to the good, and Rugby are a goal to the good.
Kick there from Jake Somerville. It's a daisy cutter in what it is, but it's gone all the way through, almost into the Chertsey box there, as 3 players missed the bounce of the ball.
And now the ball's in midfield for Chertsey, and the manager is just appealing for that, but McClure's quickly taken the throw, throwing it to Dobson. Dobson now has got a bit of an opportunity in some pitch and grass ahead of him, but with Wilson underneath him, and I think the touch may have just done it, and then I think Dobson may have clattered. May have just followed through a little bit there on the Chertsey central defender, and skipper Alderton, who got up like a man, didn't have any particular issues with that.
Yeah, quite funny. The number 10, Ryan Blake for Chertsey, he thought he should have had a free kick there from the linesman's giving it the other way. And while I think it was Dobson took the throw in, he was still reminiscing with the referee's assistant. He was still doing it as the ball went into the far corner.
So Short battling in the centre of midfield. Simple ball back to Hollis. 10 yards inside his own half, clips the ball long. It just bobbled on him, but he's put it in the direction for Johnny Dyer to chase down the right. Johnny Dyer, nice flick backwards to Warren Harris. Now Warren Harris, as we like to see him, he does great feet to get round, plays the ball into to McClurg in the box. McClurg steps over it, but thankfully for Chertsey, Steve Brown comes across, challenges well, and now the ball's back on halfway with Woos, and Woosley will pass the ball across to Simpton. Simpton back to Woosley now, inside his own half, just on the centre circle D. Woosley with his left foot, having an opportunity to have a little look at where he wants to pass it. Simple ball to Ed Smith. Ed Smith facing away from goal. Picks out a simple pass back down left to Simpton. Simpton with plenty of time on, pass it into George Short, who's having more of an influence of the game now. Short pass to Johnny Dyer, back to Simpton. This is better from Slough. Simpton now advancing into the Chertsey half, back to Johnny Dyer. Johnny Dyer back to Simpton. Simpton under a little bit of pressure, steps away well, uses his pace. Simple ball in middle of the field. George Short got plenty of time and space. Looks to line up a shot, but dummies it. Now to Warren Harris, 20 yards out, tries a shot. And you can't really blame him for that, but it was a slash shot wide of the goal, but much better from Slough. Much
better from Slough, and you could see George Short, he got the ball there, and he just played that ball to Warren Harris, but he had a quick look as if he was thinking, should I have another go? Should I have another go? And in the first fixture of this game, it was George Short's cracking goal that broke the deadlock in the game, and Slough went on to win 4-0.
And as it stands, Slough would still be going through as fifth place playoff players, and it would look like they would be playing rugby, because at the moment Dunstable are winning, Kettering are winning, and I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that's wrong. Our Excel spreadsheet's not working. It's talking about all sorts of games. We'll put a complaint into whoever did that for us. But there's a goal kick for Somerville. We've played 33 minutes here at Holloway's. The sun's come back out. The referee hasn't had much to do. The Slough flags to our left are absolute billowing over the fence down towards the M40 to our left. As Somerville clips the ball in the air, and it's almost held up completely with the strength of the wind as it got up but high. And well done by a combination of Warren Harris and Fraser to win the ball in middle of midfield. And now Harris has an opportunity to have a run at Thomas, and Harris plays it off Thomas, but Ed Smith comes and then nicks the ball in. And now Short's got an opportunity to play the ball, under hits it, but has about 3 Chertsey players around Ed Smith, but flicked on again by Smith in the direction of the keeper, but comes out strong, and Aylesbury wins the ball as a police siren just comes on. There's a good attendance here today, though. It's really encouraging for the Rebels. It'd just be nice if they could get behind the players a little bit more, as Woosley wins the ball and Fraser has the opportunity to clip the ball up.
Yeah, the wind's playing a bit of a part now. It seems to have changed direction a little bit. Jake kicked the ball out there, and it didn't even reach the centre circle in the Slough half. But when Aylesbury's just kicked the ball long, he's just kicked that absolutely miles, and it's just bounced just outside the Slough half. So maybe the wind will play a little bit more importance in this game today.
Yeah, Slough are just waiting for the ball to be thrown back into play from Chertsey on the far side. Now McClurg flicks it on in the direction of Ed Smith. Edge of the box, flicks it in. Warren Harris takes the ball well, has an opportunity to have a shot. Hits the bottom of the left-hand post, and that's the closest Slough have got as yet to a goal. The keeper was well beaten. Warren Harris looking sharp again today.
Good play by Warren Harris, but again, it's that thing that they're getting the ball wide and playing it on the ground.
Yeah, and there will now be an opportunity for the keeper to clear it wide, as some of our new younger fans just make their way back, and it's good to see them.
It's nice to see youngsters and their families here today, John.
It certainly is. As Aylesbury, with the goal kick off at the floor, up to halfway, wind assisted in this half, so the Slough players doing well, and Woosley does well to head the ball into the empty Chertsey box. It's easy, Chertsey dugout. It's easy to find because there's only 3 of them in there.
One of those is wearing a high-vis top.
One of them is wearing a high-vis jacket and looks like he's having a snooze, to be fair.
He's not working as a steward today, is he?
I'm not sure he is. I haven't seen any flares as yet, as the ball's bobbling around in midfield, and George Short hits a longer ball this time, up for Ed Smith and Johnny Dyer to chase. And Johnny Dyer up against Morris on the far side, and Johnny Dyer blocks it once, twice, and still Morris has trouble to clear, and clears it up, and Fraser quickly picks the ball up as it's gone out of play, looks for an opportunity to get the ball back into play quickly, throws it to McClurg. McClurg ducks under it, falls to Johnny Dyer. Johnny Dyer flicks it in the direction of Ed Smith, falls to Dobson towards the edge of the box, under pressure, but Dobson's header only finds the player coach. But McClurg now battling well on the edge of the box, looked to almost hit a hand there, but no appeals as the ball breaks out to McClurg. Breaks out to Fraser just inside the Chertsey half, and his cross is flicked on slightly dangerously by Alderton, but it comes to now as Alsbury looks to slow the play down, take it under control on his feet, and looks to send the ball long.
Game's got a bit bitty now, John. Neither team's getting an advantage in the game.
Please contact us at MyFC Rebels Radio. 0-0 here. As it stands, Dunstable would be champions of the league, as far as we're aware. There's not too much else changing, but there's a free kick in the centre of the park for Chertsey. We have played 36 minutes, and there's been a few goal-scoring opportunities, but it hasn't been a siege by any means.
Not at all, John. It'd be interesting to see what the attendance is at Dunstable, with the fact that they're going for the title there, because when we played them, there was only a gate of 128 odd, and most of those were Slough fans, so interesting to see what they get through today.
Free kick comes to very little, as the header there from the captain Alderton wasn't troubling Somerville at all. Somerville just holds his leg there as he's clicked it clear. We'll need to keep an eye on that. But Chertsey easily win that ball in midfield as the manager Johnson doing well in there. Short ball through to Blake, and Blake's coming a little bit deeper than he started off. He's now on the far side, just in front of the dugout. Passes the ball inside to Johnson. Back now to Thomas on the left back position. Back inside to Johnson. Very good work rate from the player coach at the moment. Be interesting to see what sort of team talk he gives himself at half time. As the ball breaks now to Warren Harris, who's got the opportunity to run, but they double team him and he cuts inside the manager. And still going with the ball bobbling. Got lucky. Johnny Dyer miscontrols it on the edge of the Chertsey box, and it's cleared up to Simpson, and Simpson now ball on the floor up to Dobson. Dobson cuts inside, has the opportunity to have a little run, chips the ball towards the far side. Johnny Dyer chests it in the direction of Ed Smith, but it doesn't quite come off. Alderton's there, and the ball's away as far as Fraser. Fraser heads the ball up the line towards Harris. That's an unfair competition because Harris gives away at least about 6 inches in height, I would say, there to the other players he's up against there, the rather large figure of Ed Thomas. But ball down in the far right hand corner still. McClurg now bobbling away with the ball there, but only out as far as Short, and they'll be urged to shoot, but tries to take a touch, but pickpocketed by Wilson, and now Wilson sends the ball through to Hodgson coming inside. Numbers forward here for Chertsey, and Simpson comes across well, does well, takes it off Before's feet, and now the ball's bobbling around. It hasn't been cleared yet, and Simpson comes out well against Strong. But there's a free kick conceded. Simpson get over the ball there against Before, and it's a dangerous position, this free kick.
Strange decision that there by the referee. It looks like both players went for the ball. Simpson won it, but he maybe seen a studs up or a high foot.
Barton are losing at home to Northwood. That is a massive result for Slough's season. So at the moment, as it stands, Slough are in the playoffs at this time.
But by hanging on by the skin of their teeth here, John, because they really need a goal just to get a boost of confidence, not only for themselves but for the fans here today as well.
Yeah, a dangerous position for this free kick, just to the left of the edge of the penalty box. I'd say 25 yards out, left of centre. 2 players stood over it. It looks like it may be the left foot of Blake. We're not quite sure as yet. Or it could be the right foot. I think it's once again Steve Brown up there. We're just waiting to see. It's Blake, low kick, hits the wall, and now Brown has the opportunity, steps over, tries to flick the ball out to Blake in the left back position. His control and touch isn't great. McClurg now deep inside his own half, pass it to Hollis, kind of undersells Hollis, and Hollis has to clear long, out of play, and we are almost in the final 5 minutes of this first half.
Yeah, it's there's no real tempo at the moment. I don't know if it's the wind or if it's the players or the heat or whatever, but it's not the usual Slough Town that we're used to seeing, I'm afraid.
No, they've created a few chances as McClurg launches what was almost reminiscent of his shot, but it only found the bench.
It was another 40 yards back though, John,
yeah.
But maybe he's trying.
It was the same sort of connection, but unfortunately lacked the accuracy, and it wasn't going to quite connect in the same way. But Slough under pressure, and they've done well to not concede, and the ball's bobbling around there. Chertsey throw on the far side. They've got to throw to attack, but Fraser does well to get up and just win that. But it falls to Wilson in midfield. Out left to Ed Thomas. Ed Thomas up the line in the direction of Hodgson, but it doesn't come off. And now Slough may have the opportunity to break away. Dobson picks up the ball in his own half on the centre circle, clips the ball up in the direction of Johnny Dyer, but it was woefully inaccurate, and it sets Chertsey on their bike again. And Chertsey now with Steve Brown up to halfway tries to curl a ball through for Mussoke, who has Woos at his back. Woos put a shove in his back, but nothing doing there from the referee. I think he's a little bit lucky to do that. Plays Simpson in on his left foot, and Simpson's left foot's better for standing on.
It's still in,
and the ball is still in play down near side. And before we'll have the opportunity to run up against Simpson, cuts inside, passes the ball through, and some of it comes out well. And the ball's still in the back of the box, and a vital interception there. There's a Chertsey man down in the box as Simpson clears long and high, and the referee will stop this, I feel. And yes, he has stopped it as Alan Mussoke is down there as the ball was played through to him. It was kind of 50-50 in between Somerville and him, and Somerville came out sprightly, blocked the ball well, but that was an opportunity again.
Great work by Seven before who got through there, and he put the little ball through, but it looks like quite a bad injury there, and they've only got the 2 subs of Chertsey, so let's hope he carries on. Or no, is he getting up? No?
It looks like one of the substitutes is also the water boy, the physio. So I'm surprised if Super Kev doesn't maybe come on and have some interest.
Multitasking.
Yeah, it's efficient in this day and age. As lots of the smaller, younger kids are starting to make their way around. Maybe they're hoping for a burger at half time. There's lots of people, lots of juniors are here in Slough shirts. It's good to see.
Yeah, well, we were at Aylesbury, weren't we, on Monday, and we were sat next to the stadium announcer who was also the groundsman and whatever else he did, and taking money for a presentation night. So maybe it's an easy way of saving money if you have a physio, assistant manager, substitute as one person.
And while this is all going on, it's interesting, there's almost a small Slough huddle going on which McClurg is orchestrating, having just a few choice words. I think with Johnny Dyer up front, there's a little bit of just explanation and clarification needed, I think, just between some of the front players and the midfield players. They certainly seem to be just discussing what they want best, which is good to see. They're clearly caring out here, as there's going to be a drop ball.
We're going to see an old-fashioned, properly contested drop ball.
No, Chertsey are just going to kick it back. Hopefully they won't shoot against Somerville. As Blake has a shot, Somerville behind it, controls the ball well, rolls it out. As we enter the final 3 or 4 minutes of this first half, it's still goalless. Somerville takes the kick, clears it straight as you like, but that's meat and veg for Alderton, who heads it back with interest, then returned with some interest by Hollis, who heads the ball out, who up in the direction of Smith. Smith heads it out to Harris, and now it falls back to Fraser. Fraser's going to have an opportunity to get it in the box. Seems to have overhit the cross quite a lot, but headed well back in there by Dobbo, but now it's cleared by Chertsey, and Chertsey have the opportunity to down the right, and inside before comes, but a great challenge coming across from short, and now Dobson again with plenty of time to whip a ball into the box, whipped it in front of the keeper. Johnny Dart almost on the end of it, better there from Slough.
There's been a bit of controversy there, John, because number 9 Mussoke was still off the pitch. He's waiting to come on. He's actually been waiting for about a minute and a half for the referee to wave him back on, and he's now done it now.
Catching 2 goals to the good at North Greenford, so that looks like it's a done kind of deal as well there. 2 goals there as the keeper apparently made a little bit of a mistake. So the games above us are going to form at the moment. Dunstable, as far as we're aware, leading 1-0. Rugby leading. So at the moment, as it stands, Slough would be travelling to Rugby on Tuesday night to Butlins Road, to the team who last week had a comprehensive 2-1 victory. It doesn't sound comprehensive, but the way they played it was. As Warren Harris out on the right, combining with Fraser, up in line with the edge of the 18-yard box. Fraser clips in a ball in the direction of Johnny Dyer, but one well by there as McClurg has it on the edge of the box. Will he pull the trigger? He's trying to find himself a little bit of space. Clips the ball out to Dobson. Dobson now with his man up against him. Clips the ball inside. McClurg still edge of the box. Low ball through, trying to overcomplicate it as Hollis comes out, takes a heavy touch, and now Woosley has a little bit of space on the halfway line. Just takes a moment to compose himself. Clips a long ball forward in the direction of Johnny Dyer, but flicked on and won once again by the skipper Alderton. Fraser now on halfway. Chooses to head it, and there's no player reacting quickly, but Simpson has finally reacted, passes it to McClurg. McClurg now to Dobson, 25 yards out, on his wrong foot though. He's getting it on his left, he's going to pull the trigger. It's right hand side of the post, and that is one of the best passes. I don't think there's going to be too much injury time at the end of this first half, do you?
No, Chertsey have played very well, John. I mean, bearing in mind that they're second from bottom of the table, and they've conceded almost an average of 3 goals per game. They've defended very well today, not just the 2 centre-backs who are winning all the headers, but quite impressive is the left-back, the slightly mega built Ed Thomas. He's been very good, kept Warren Harris very quiet during the game.
Yeah, man for man, they're doing a job on all the Slough players. I mean, Warren Harris is still having a good run of it, and it looked like he handled the ball on the floor. The referee gave that. Can Slough quickly take advantage of this compromise? As far as we're aware, Daventry is still trailing 1-0, so they will perhaps face an away tie to Kettering on Tuesday. That would be perhaps the other game, Kettering versus Daventry. What a mouth-watering prospect that would be. The number of fans that Kettering get would be fantastic. Slough potentially an away trip to rugby.
Not a nice place. I think Kettering are the former team at the moment, so...
Ball driven to the box by Dobson, and the keeper coming all the way. He's spilled it, he's dropped it on the floor, and Harris is in the box, and it's keeper still down on his floor. Somehow it's scooped clear, I think, by the right back, Brown, and now Chertsey have an opportunity to attack with before outrunning away from McClurg, but McClurg's come back, and McClurg's battling back on halfway, inside to Blake, and now Blake advancing towards the edge of the Slough box. Clever pass there through towards Hodgson, and Hodgson on the far left will have an opportunity to get the ball into the box. Side foot pass taken well, and the linesman's flag goes up, but that was dangerous play once again by Chertsey, who are no mean just come here to make up the numbers. No. Half time at Kettering, they lead 2-0.
Yeah, it's before again. He was torturing the team there. He's come through and he's played a lovely little ball in. Blake's played it wide. Good chance, but. You know, this could be the way that Chertsey get into the game. Let Slough attack them and hit them on the break. They are very pacey up front.
We've played 46 minutes here. I'm sure this will be about it for John Panconi, and he'll blow the whistle very soon. At half-time, you'll be able to hear the interview that I conducted with John Underwood yesterday ahead of this game, and just giving his thoughts and feelings on the view. But it's been a fairly even first half, hasn't it, Adrian?
Chertsey totally belying their position in the second from bottom.
And there's a free kick on halfway, just a clip I think on Warren Harris there. Nothing too cynical or nasty, but Mr Panconi will give Slough one final opportunity to get the ball forward into the box. And
maybe that's the thing that's lacking from the Slough is one of those crunching tackles, just to get everyone knowing that they're in the game and stuff. It's been very well played, but there's been a lack of bite in the game.
He's just telling Dobson to put that ball back a couple of yards as he's trying to sneak a few. The second half, I understand, Adrian, you're going to go off and stand behind the shed and give the keeper a bit of grief.
I will do that. I also have to do the after-match stewarding as well, so I won't be just gruesome.
Into the box, but headed clear by Alderson. I'm flicked back in by Shaw, and once again up in the air by the Chertsey defender. Simpson underneath it, heads it back in. Woosley shoulder barges Blake off the challenge, and it's a free kick to Chertsey. It's just kind of stumbling towards half-time. Half-time Potters Bar 1, Beaconsfield Town 0. Half-time Dunstable 1, Uxbridge 0. That's the key result at the moment. Dunstable champions-elect as it stands. And as it stands, Kettering will play Daventry at home, because Daventry, we understand, are still drawing.
Yep, and it's still Barton Rovers 0, Northwood 1, so Slough still a point to the goods in this playoff chase, and that's the half-time whistle.
As the half-time whistle goes, thank you very much once again as ever, Aid. Will we hear you on Tuesday night?
If you're there, I should be there, hopefully.
We will all try and get there. Are you going to come up on the coach?
I believe I will be coming up on the supporters coach, yes. So
that's
hopefully
brilliant.
I shall see you
there. We just don't know where we're going.
If we get there.
Hopefully, if and when Slough get there. I will sign off for now, and we will just leave you with John Underwood's interview, and we will wish you all the best. Enjoy your half-times. At the moment it stands, Slough will be going through to the playoffs, but only just. So come back for 45 minutes of excitement and entertainment. I'll be joined by Northern Mick, and thank you very much for Adrian.
Thank you very much, John. Cheers.
Hello and welcome to Rebels Radio latest interview. I'm joined by joint manager John Underwood ahead of the final home game of the season tomorrow.
Hi John.
How are you?
Very well, thanks, very well.
Looking back, it's been a difficult week for Slough after the Easter weekend. What are your thoughts now?
Thoughts now are all very positive and looking forward to tomorrow. Obviously, as you said, the weekend wasn't a good one for us. It came as a bit of a surprise given how we've been playing in recent months. To be fair, we've been on a great run. Obviously, we knew they were two tough games, but we certainly didn't expect to come out of them with no points to show for it. So, yeah, it was obviously knocked us sideways a little bit on Monday, but we do need to keep in mind where we've come from, particularly since Christmas. And to be going into the final game tomorrow with in a playoff position with our fate in our own hands is a great position to be in.
Yeah, reflecting on the overall season, I'm sure that given during some points during December and maybe even during the difficult start of the season, you'd have bitten people's hand off to say you're controlling your own fate going into that last 90 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think we've ever really been expected to win the league. You know, it's the first season at the club for myself and Neil. A lot of changes on the playing side. Of course, you go into the season with that as your aim, as a lot of teams do. But we had a slow start, and I think, you know, pretty quickly we were all very much aware that, you know, our target was to get in the playoffs, and whether that's second or fifth, in our minds has very little difference between coming second or fifth. So yeah, if you'd have said back in August, or certainly as you said after the difficult December we had, if you'd have said we were in this position, you know, would have been delighted to be here. So we are delighted. We're feeling really positive about it. We've got obviously a game that we need to win tomorrow. You know, if we can do that, we have the same chance as the other three teams in the playoffs to get promotion, and that's a great situation to be in.
You've had your hands tied at some times during the season due to injuries, suspensions, and also player availability. That's been challenging and kind of led to some situations. And now, what's the latest on the squad situation? What's the squad news for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we have had some problems. I mean, we've obviously in Adam Fowler as obviously the skipper, who's been out for a while now, and we all know about how long he's out for. Scott Harris picked up an injury about a month ago when he was flying and scoring goals. I think he scored a hat-trick the game before, and then he got injured.
Johnny Dyer, Guy Hollis, you've had name after name of...
The list is endless. But, you know, we've got a good squad, and you know, there's probably only a few occasions where we've gone into games where we could really point to the injuries. I mean, what it's not enabled us to do is put together a settled side week in, week out. I think when we've been able to do that is when we've had our best runs. But, you know, I don't want to make a massive thing of it. I think it has been our toughest year injury-wise. It's the toughest year I've known. But, you know, we're at a big club. You know, we've got a good sized squad, and that's part of the game. And you know, I'm sure other clubs will have had similar situations as well. In terms of this weekend, obviously the two that I mentioned are out, but we're not in bad shape. Good news last night was that Sean Fraser came through training with no problems. He obviously limped off on Monday, so he's an important player for us. Ryan Parsons, who injured his hamstring on Saturday, was able to do some running. He won't be. It will be too soon for him tomorrow, but we're hoping he can do a little bit more tomorrow in the warm up. And if we are able to get to the playoffs, he would come into contention hopefully on Tuesday. Other than that, we welcome back Dave Woosley and Steve Duff, who were both unavailable last weekend. Woos was back in time to train last night, so it was great to have him back. The other one we're missing is Adam Cornell. Adam, when he joined us, had already booked up to be away this weekend. So we knew that when he joined, and that was just one of those unfortunate things. But we're confident with we've got a strong 16-man squad tomorrow. So we think we've got good options.
How's the atmosphere in the camp? Obviously, after a difficult week, it's yours and Bakes' job to kind of build back belief and to tell them the right things. What was the focus in training, and how did they respond?
Yeah, we didn't want to dwell too much on the weekend. We were quite critical of the lads in the changing room at Aylesbury on Monday, and I don't think anything we said wasn't deserved. I think they all agree with what we said. I think they knew it themselves, and they were disappointed with what they gave us, particularly second half at Aylesbury. But there's no point coming back on the Thursday and dragging up the same points again. You know, it was about moving on and drawing a line under it, and we did that. We did that last night. It was a very positive session. There were smiles on the faces. We had a bit of fun. We had a good chat at the end of training, just ahead of tomorrow's game, just to talk about one or two things. And everyone was there. The whole squad was there, and we left in very, very positive spirits. So you have to sometimes draw a line under bad games, bad weekends, and that's what we've done. And that's forgotten about now. We've got a very clear objective tomorrow, and we're all focused on it.
What do you make of Chertsey? There's a lot of unrest. There's newspaper articles about them resigning from the league, all sorts of different bits and pieces going up. What do you think they're going to come into that game looking at?
Very difficult, really, to know. I think, the fact they've resigned from the league, they don't technically have anything to play for. Although I'm sure, as a player, I wouldn't want to finish bottom of the league, so they'll be looking to make sure they're above Ashford, come Saturday night. Very, very difficult to know exactly. I mean, obviously they've been struggling a bit. They've had a couple of heavy defeats recently. They've actually done well away from home. They've struggled. I think they've lost 8 on the bounce at home, but they've picked up some good wins away, notably Beaconsfield. So they've been to Holloway's Park and won not so long ago. So, psychologically that will give them a lift. We'll have to see. I mean, we can only worry about ourselves, and we need to make sure. We've talked about it in the same vein as the Ashford game, which was the game obviously before the Easter weekend, where we were superb and where we came out the blocks flying, and we're asking them for a similar start tomorrow.
Looking at the league overall now, obviously a really interesting result at Egham the other night, where they managed to beat champions-elect Daventry and really dent their title hopes. So there's now 4 sides going into that final weekend of possibly champions. Who do you think will win? First question. And secondly, who do you think that will then leave in playoff position number 2 that will be the likely host for Slough's visit next Tuesday?
Obviously, if we get the job done.
Obviously, if you get the job done. Now, I'm positive here. Yeah. I'm sending out those messages. So.
Well, I'd say obviously Dunstable are in the driving seat. They're top. You look at all 4 games that they've got. All 4 sides are good sides, and you'd expect them to. We're looking at thinking potentially everyone will win, and if they do, obviously Dunstable will win, and Rugby will be in that second spot. So if we were to get there, we'd travel to Rugby. But they're not easy games for any of them. I mean, Dunstable are playing Uxbridge, who are on a good run, a dangerous side. Rugby go to Hayes, which is never easy. Daventry only just won there recently. I think Daventry have got Chalfont, another side, no pressure on them. It's very difficult to call. I mean, we knew Daventry's game would be tough at Egham on Wednesday. I don't think anyone saw a 4-1 defeat, but we knew they'd have a tough game there. It just goes to show when you're in those positions, there's a lot of pressure. And games that on paper look easy games aren't easy games. And, I don't think anyone expected us to get beaten 3-1 at Aylesbury on Monday. So these results just keep surprising everyone. We'll have to see. We're, as I say, very much focused on our job. Once we get that done, we'll turn our attentions to who we'll be playing. Obviously, whoever we play, it will be a bit of a trip midweek, and it will be a tough game because all of those 4 sides are obviously very good sides. Maybe an advantage if you end up playing one of the sides who expected to win the league. They find themselves in the playoffs where they don't want to be, and we would be in the playoffs, which is exactly where we want to be. So, psychologically we'd be potentially on a bit of a high, and they might not be. But there's so many different permutations. We'll just see where we end up, and we absolutely got to get our job done first.
Are you happy with the recent changing weather conditions that might soften up that pitch a little bit at Holloway's?
Yeah, we are. The pitches have been very hard and bumpy recently. Our pitch has been great all season, but as with all the others, it's been a little bit uneven and hard to get the ball down and move it at pace. Having said that, we've done it on some of the tough pitches. We played some great stuff at Barton, and Rugby came to our pitch Saturday and played some great stuff, so it can be done. But yeah, the rain helps. Even the training pitch last night, which has been the same, has been very bobbly, all of a sudden felt green and slick, and we had a really good lively session on it. So yeah, we're hoping it's done the pitch some good.
Final question, come 5 o'clock tomorrow, are Slough going to be in the playoffs?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Rebels Radio latest interview. I'm joined by joint manager John Underwood ahead of the final home game of the season tomorrow.
Hi John.
How are you?
Very well, thanks. Very well.
Looking back, it's been a difficult week for Slough after the Easter weekend. What are your thoughts now?
Thoughts now are all very positive and looking forward to tomorrow.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to the second half at Holloway's Park. I'm hoping you can still hear us. We've had a couple of technical issues at half-time. Through somehow, I think someone has accidentally knocked over the mixer, so hopefully that didn't affect your enjoyment of the half-time. It will be good to hear. Hello, people from America. If you're out there listening, Rummy or any of these other people, please tell us where you're listening from. Mick's just about to come in and join us, and Slough are out on this pitch ready. It's 0-0 at half time if you've just come and joined us. I'm welcoming along Mick. Slough are out early. I think they've probably had a few stern words from the management team at half time, because I don't think in their books that will have been acceptable. Mick is just getting himself in position. We await the arrival of Chertsey. The teams I'll just take you through quickly. For Chertsey, number 1, Garen Alsbury. 2, Steve Brown. 3, Ed Thomas. 4, Matt Morris. 5, Danny Alderton and captain. 6, Billy Watson. 7, Sam Before. 8, Dave Johnson. 9, Alan Masoke. 10, Ryan Blake. And 11, Ricky Hodgson. And on the bench, number 12, Kali Ahmed. And number 14, Chris Payne. And the referee is John Piccone, assisted by Callum Chittenden and assisted by Dougie Steele. And the Slough Town team in goal, number 1, Jake Somerville. 2, Sean Fraser. 3, Dan Simpson. 4, Guy Hollis. 5, and captain Dave Woosley. 6, George Short. 7, Johnny Dyer. 8, James McClurg. 9, Ed Smith. 10, Warren Harris. And 11, James Dobson. And on the bench, 12, Ben Edwards. 14, Jake Parsons. 15, Gareth Risbridger. And 16, Seb Costello. How are you doing, Mick? Oh, 18, Steve Duff. Sorry, I missed him off the list. He was appearing too low for me.
Well, we've at least got 5 subs to there too. It's not been the greatest first half. I watched it from sort of just behind the dugouts, virtually under the camera. Warren hit the post, the outside the post in the first half, and apart from that, we've had all the possession. We've not been able to finish it off. Ed's had a couple of flicks. I think he's tried to be a little bit too clever when a simple ball would have done. Early on there was a mix-up with Jake and
Woosley.
And the Woosley, and that could easily have been a goal. Apart from that, Chertsey have had a couple of corners. I was talking to the goalkeeper beforehand, and they said they tend to play better against the top sides, and he said we've got nothing to lose today, which is perfectly true. They haven't. We have a playoff spot to lose. Chertsey now coming out blue and white striped shirts, blue shorts, blue socks. Hopefully we're in for a better second half. Northwood were a goal up against Barton, but we can't rely on that. We've got to do the business today. They've looked a little bit off the pace, to be perfectly honest. They have had more possession, but it's still not resulted in anything really worthwhile, apart from, I say, Warren hitting the post.
Yeah, I think the pitch has had a bit of an impact. It's been bobbling around there. The first 15-20 minutes it really was quite a battle, and Slough weren't kind of keeping it on the deck very much, but then as the game's progressed, I think Short's come into it more, held the ball a little bit more up on the deck, and they've been keeping the ball a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it's been raining up here today. The pitch looks a little bit wet, and the car park certainly was, but I think I brought the sun down from West Yorkshire for you, so you
I don't believe there's such a thing as sun in West Yorkshire.
Oh, I think we do.
Really? Are you sure of that?
I think we do. You've been up there. You know how wonderful the weather is. Come on, John.
Yes. So just to remind you, Slough will be shooting from left to right in the second half, up towards the shed end, where there's a lot of Slough bodies visible now, and the flags are out. Chertsey wearing royal blue shirts with white stripes. Or the other way around, perhaps white shirts with royal blue stripes. I'm not quite sure well. Blue shorts and blue will be shooting from down the hill towards the M40 from right to left, as Mr. Pancone's just about to get us underway. We know it's already started off at Kettering, who are 2 goals to the good at half time.
Here we go.
And we're off. And immediately Warren Harris gets the ball in the right back position. Big old clearance from the rather large Ed Thomas. And the ball's bobbling around the midfield. It fell down onto McClurg's hand, but nothing doing there. And now Harris has the opportunity to drive. Tries to play a nice little 1-2 with Johnny Dyer, but it falls to Fraser down in the near right-hand corner. Cleared out by Hodgson. It'll be an attacking throw for Slough. Bright start for them in the second half.
That was a very bright start. It just went behind Warren Harris, but fortunately Parsons was backing up. Fraser was backing up, so at least we got the throwing out of it.
So as it stands, Slough will be travelling to Rugby on Tuesday night, but they're just waiting for a ball to come in because it's been cleared out of the ground, and it would be Kettering hosting Daventry in the third versus fourth game. But first of all, Slough need to get on the score sheet here. They can't rely upon Barton losing at Northwood, and it'll be a very nervy 45 minutes. The fans are feeling it. Long throw comes in. Woosley goes after it, gets knocked over though, and now Dobson, edge of the box, hooks it over his head in the edge of the, but doesn't find anyone in particular. It's hooked clear up to halfway line, and Simpson has to come and head down the bouncing ball. But Chertsey may have the opportunity to attack, but Hollis does well, but only clears it up in the air. Now McClurg up against Wilson, and McClurg doing well, battling, hooks the ball forward with Dobson up against it, but his header's too strong. It's out for a goal kick, and it is chanceless here, really.
Bright start, but it's that final pass again, isn't it? I think there's panic at the moment, just a little bit of panic. They know what they've got to do. They know they should win. They can't rely on Barton. They need to settle down.
And we're just waiting for the goal kick to be taken by Aylesbury. Aylesbury cleared it long, held up slightly in the wind in their faces, and Short rises well. Heads the ball down on the near side to Harris, and Harris now up against Thomas. Harris tries to run it past him, and Thomas does well. Just does well, gets a leg, and it looked like he was going to get beaten for pace there, but just kind of did enough. Came back, and now it's an attacking throw. So Hollis comes forward from the back, and the Slough fans behind the goal find their voices. The sun's doing well. It's just out of our eyesight today.
Yes, it is. It must be 300, I would have thought.
I would say a little bit more than that, maybe 350, maybe even pushing towards 400. Long throw comes in. Woosley heads it on. Just over the bar, and the referee out of nowhere seems to award a corner. I didn't think that.
Yeah, Wolsey had it onto the defender, and it was definitely a corner there. The keeper went for it, but it did drop over the bar, so a good decision.
And the Slough fans doing their best to get their charges right. As Dobson makes his way across, contact us at MyFC Rebels Radio. Let us know about the latest scores. Let us know where you're listening, if you're Warren at a pub or something like that. As we're just waiting for this in-swinging corner. In-swing corner, plenty of movement in the box. Johnny Dyer towards the near post, goes towards the far post. Easy meat and drink for Aylesbury there to claim on his 6-yard box.
Nobody challenged him. Ed just stood there roughly on the penalty spot, keeping him out to the edge of the 6-yard box. No challenge on him at all. We need to make those.
I'm not sure whether there was any impact of the wind there. It'll be interesting to see how that's going on. If you're in either of the chat rooms, on either Slough Town's chat room or on the MyFC chat room, please contact us, ask us questions, or if you've got your thoughts on the games from what you've heard so far, let us know. As another ball gets cleared industrially out on the left, and Dan Simpson will have the opportunity to throw the ball short to George Short, back to Dan Simpson. Drives it towards the edge of the box, but it isn't well placed, and the player manager Dave Johnson has the opportunity to clear it up to halfway in the direction of Masoke, but it goes out harmlessly for a Slough throw-in, and yet to settle in the second half.
It's yet to settle, but you're right about the wind, and Slough are playing with the wind. Here we come again.
And the ball sat up nicely there just for Warren Harris to have a slightly speculative effort from the edge of the box, but the wind caught it and it went way over the bar and almost out the ground.
It did, but I think, to be honest, if it had been under the bar, the keeper would have been way away from that.
Daventry are trailing 1-0 at Chalfont St Peters, so Daventry are absolutely falling off the edge of the cliff here. Potentially they were champions-elect on Wednesday night. Now come Saturday, they may be kind of crawling into the playoffs, and Kettering would be fancy their chances. Mouth-watering prospect that.
And that's a tremendous game, or it will be, hopefully.
So, yes, Daventry look as if they may be heading for 4th spot, having on... before Wednesday's game, been almost thinking that they were going to be champions without too much effort on Saturday. So 2-0 apparently to Rugby. I'm understanding it's AFC 0-2. They gave the ball away in midfield. So Rugby are certainly keeping their pressure up on Dunstable. So as it stands, Dunstable will lead. Rugby will be in second place, and that is where Slough will travel to. St Ives take the lead against Aylesbury. Carl Gibbs, as Slough have a free kick in their own half on the far side, which Dan Simpson takes cross-field in the direction of Woosley. Woosley gets underneath it. Seemed to get clipped as he fell down, and the ball's going out towards a corner, and Warren Harris, despite his effort to try and keep it does it out. And the crowd, although they're in number, they're a little bit quiet, a little bit subdued.
I think they're about as wary as I am at the moment. It's not... This is 2 tenths. We need a goal. I know
it's more of a circus than 2 tenths, but anyway.
Yeah, probably a circus.
Oh yes, yeah. Not too much sighing, please, on there. As Fraser wins the ball there, but it's then won and headed on. Head tennis with Wilson up to Harris. Harris flicks it up in the air. The ball's not spending an awful lot of time on the deck. The captain Alderston does well, wins up midfield, but then they lose it out, and Dobson now has an opportunity to attack with plenty of pitch in front of him. Cuts inside. He's going to pull the trigger shortly. He's going in front. Left-footed shot, bobbles, but straight down the throat of Aylesbury. But that was an opportunity.
That was tremendous. He beat 2 defenders there. Cut inside, cut back. Unfortunately, the final shot wasn't good enough, and it bobbled in front of the keeper. And now
Chertsey are on the break. Quick ball forward, which Fraser just hooks up in the air, and Short, who's had a good game so far, wins the ball off to Harris. Harris now to McClurg. McClurg now tries to play in Dobson down the far left, but Jamie McClurg's use of the ball today hasn't been his best, has it?
It hasn't. That was a very poor ball. It went straight to the defender. Then he only needed to put it 2 yards to the defender's left, and we could have had an attack.
A soft free kick there now, given away by Brown on the far side, which gives Slough an opportunity to get the ball in the box. 20 yards inside the Chertsey half on the far side, quite close to the touchline. Dobson stood over it with his left foot. All the big charges of Short, Simpson and Woosley making their way forward towards the back edge of the box. Johnny Dyer stood at the far edge by himself, unmarked at the moment, hand in the air, ball delivered in, out swinging, and Woosley's on it, and Woosley's header goes inches wide of the right hand upright, and that was a very good chance.
I think that, I don't know, that might have been disallowed. The referee was indicating there to us that there was something going on there with probably a shirt pull, and I'm not sure whether he was warning the defender to be very careful or he was warning Woozy. I don't know there, but it might have been disallowed. We could have got a penalty if he'd gone down.
North Greenford United have pulled a goal back against Kettering, so nervy times for Kettering. They lead 2-1 at North Greenford. We've played about 7 minutes of the second half here. It remains goalless. Not a match that short of incident, but there doesn't seem to be too much quality out there. The bobbly pitch isn't helping. As McClurg sets Harris away, and Harris takes a heavy touch, which is cut out by Alderton just when he looked like he was going to get going, but he's done well to win the ball back. Sets Fraser out free, and Fraser now running towards the edge of the 18-yard box, clips it towards the far post. There's absolutely no Slough player there, but Brown doesn't get a great shout, and it bobbles out. George Short has a very, very speculative shot from all of 30 yards, shins it off, and it just about makes its way off for a goal kick rather than a throw.
Yeah, we may not see that ball again, but at least it's another attack. Chertsey have done nothing this half so far, but we still stand at 0-0. It is a little bit scrappy.
Yeah, so just to remind you of what else is going on in the league, Dunstable champions-elect lead 1-0 at Uxbridge, Rugby leading 2-0 at AFC Hayes, Kettering leading 2-1 at North Greenford. All those three teams would finish first, second and third. Daventry trail 1-0 at home to Chalfont St Peters, and at the moment they would make up fourth spot. Barton, as far as we're hearing, there's not a lot of updates going on, but as far as we understand, they're trailing 1-0, which suits Slough, because Slough just need to match their result to make sure that they go through on the fifth place on goal difference. But at the moment, Slough are drawing, picking up a point. Barton are picking up no points, so Slough would finish a point ahead of them as it is, but it's not a comfortable margin, is it, Mick?
It's not, and to be fair to Chertsey, they have defended quite well. We have helped them with some poor passing, but they've defended very, very well. To say they're second bottom, they don't look like a side second bottom. I know they're in trouble and various things, but they are playing quite well, unfortunately for us.
As the ball's in the Chertsey half, but hooked clear well by Johnson, who seems to be in everywhere. Very motivated for the player manager. Lost completely by Blake there, and hooked forward by Fraser. Dealt with by Alderton. McClurg now picks up in midfield, and Fraser quick touch into Johnny Dyer. Johnny Dyer flicks it round the corner towards Ed Smith, who hasn't quite been at the races today as yet. And Simpton needs to be alert here as he passes back to Somerville, and Somerville's pass out finds Dobson on the left, flicks it on. Now Ed Smith has a run up against the skipper, and Ed Smith's pushing it, and the keeper falls, and now Ed Smith has an opportunity to square it, but trips over himself and gives away a goal kick when all for the world he had to do was get the ball across.
Johnny Dyer was unmarked on the 6-yard box. If Ed hadn't fallen over and put that across, there was nobody within 6 yards of Johnny Dyer. That was a certain goal. Oh, what a waste. Best chance we've had today.
As Woosley wins the goal kick, but now it's been returned, and Slough backtracking here as Simpson heads the ball far, but only out as far as Masoka. Masoka now plays the ball out right to Bafor, and Bafor now comes inside Simpson, doing well, driving inside the Slough half, off to Wilson. Wilson out right to, I think it's Blake over there, cuts inside on his left foot, has a pop shot. Somerville does well to get down in front of him. It could have taken an awkward bobble, but he did well there.
If that had bounced a few yards in front of Jake, he might have had problems with that on this pitch. Slough attacking.
Ed Smith now up against Morris in the near corner, but Morris does well, passes it out to Thomas. Now Thomas inside to the player manager, who passes it up the line to Blake, and Blake now gets harried out of it by Fraser and does well. Fraser to Johnny Dyer's feet, and Johnny Dyer just flipped it away from the skipper, Alderton, and wins a free kick. Slough applying a little bit of pressure here.
Yes, that was a poor tackle from behind. I think the referee was contemplating a caution, but he's just had a quick word with the guy. We've got a free kick halfway inside Chertsey's half towards this near side, and it's going to be Dobbo to take it.
Yeah, and it might be just about in range to have a shot. And what do you think, Mick? Do you think it's a little bit too far? It's about 40 yards out,
he's
but
curling
it's going
it
towards the far
he's
post.
Curling it in.
Towards the far post, but doesn't beat the first man, disappointing. And now Chertsey have an opportunity because it will fall to Bafor, and Bafor's got plenty of grass in front of him, and McClurg's doing the best to try and keep up with him, make it across, and Hollis comes across as well. Two Slough players, and it clips off Hollis, but still Chertsey attacking, and a long kind of cross shot there, and I think it's going to go out for a goal kick. Yes, a goal kick.
I think it was very close to a throw-in. It was that far wide.
Yeah. So there is a kick to Somerville. We've played almost 11 and a half minutes of this second half. Yes, so Slough would have to win. After today, they'd have to win 2 games, both away, to get through to that playoff final. As Smith just leaves the ball off for Johnny Dyer, the freshly shaven Johnny Dyer, to try and do it. And there's just a little bit too much of that. They need to take a bit more care of the ball up there as the ball's hooked clear and by Chertsey, and now McClurg in the centre circle flicks the ball in the direction of Dobson, and Dobson just up against Brown. It's a good battle out there, and Dobson's putting pressure on Brown, pushing him a little bit and pulling his shirt, and rightly John Panconi gives a free kick to Chertsey, so that will give them an opportunity to alleviate the pressure.
No communication between Ed there and Johnny Dyer. I don't think either of them shouted. Ed left it, Johnny wasn't expecting it, and Chertsey cleared it quite easily there. Free kick to Chertsey.
And taken long and high by right back Brown, and Hollis does well to come through and win it from the back. Then George Short gets it under control, plays it forward to Harris, and now Harris is running against Alderton, and Alderton comes across well, shepherds it out for a goal kick. Shepherds it out, for a throw-in, and Slough have the opportunity to attack. And the Slough fans just behind that goal to our right make a little bit of noises. Fraser and Harris are combining down the near side, short, but once again in comes a snappy Dave Johnson to win that ball. Yeah, the headphones aren't really working, Mick, so I wouldn't, you might as well just listen to what I'm saying.
No, they're not actually. I might as well listen to you.
There was a little incident at half-time when I was out of here where this was all on the floor when I came back slightly. I'll tell you about that later.
Good.
But we may need some new microphone jacks. As the long throw from Hollis comes in, and it's headed away by Chertsey, so a repeat performance, please, with Hollis on the near side, plenty of our bodies in the box, but they're being well marshalled at the moment by Chertsey, who certainly haven't turned up to just give this game away.
No, they've not. They're in there fighting for everything.
Flicked on by Dobson at the near post. Again, Woosley's underneath it. Back in by Dobson. Harris underneath it. And now Dobson will have the opportunity to try and get the ball in. Edge of the box. Chips it towards a fast stick. Well headed there by the Alderton, who seems to have been pretty much everywhere. And now before would have the opportunity to run it away. But George Short does terribly well twice to win the ball back. But it falls to Hodgson on the edge. And now Woosley up in an unfamiliar position, takes a pop shot on a half volley, but drags it to the right hand side of the left post, and they do well to watch it go past.
I think the crowd reaction thought it was nearer than it was, but it was quite a few yards wide. It probably went about 6 yards wide. The keeper had that covered.
First substitution of the game, with Jake Parsons coming on to replace James Dobson. So I'll write that down, Mick. Don't you worry. You concentrate on.
Yeah, okay. You write it down. I'm from the north. I can't write. Don't forget. I can't do joined up writing.
In the 59th minute, Jake Parsons comes on. So thankfully, there's only one Parsons on the pitch at the moment. But goal kick to Chertsey down to our right, which Albury takes long. Fraser interested, and Fraser and Short between them don't quite talk, and Short wins the ball, heads it out of play. Plenty of young kids around today, though, Mick. It's impressive, isn't it? The amount of
it was wonderful when the teams came out, the line-up, and they were clapped out by the Slough Town youth side. That was tremendous. There must have been 25 there.
Rugby now well on their way, so they are heaping pressure on Dunstable. Rugby are 4-0 to the good. Dave Kolodinsky, who was very lively here last Saturday, has got a hat-trick after passing from a Lake Gaskin pass. So Rugby are putting pressure on Dunstable, and it looks like we're going to be going to a very informed Rugby on Tuesday night, which will be a hell of a challenge.
It could be, actually. I might see you there, I think.
Not if I see you first.
That's fair enough.
As the clouds just start to come over, the blue sky's fading here, and not a lot's going on. It's down in the left-hand corner that Slough are defending slightly, as Chertsey are just making their way down the line softly, and some of us come a long way out there to smother the ball at the feet of Masoke, but there wasn't a lot of pressure there, but it's still a little bit bitty here. Let's hope that with Jake Parsons coming on, he can get a foot on the ball and just calm things down a little bit. Slough looking a bit desperate as the long clearance comes forward, catches the wind, and Alderton heads it up in the air, then helped on its way by Steve Brown up to halfway and out of play in front of the dugouts. Baker and Underwood stood there motionless, hands on hips, just wanting and willing a goal.
We're not challenging for that second ball enough, as far as I can see. And
the ball's gone through. Assistant had his flag up there to signal that Ed Smith was offside, but the referee's playing advantage, and now Alsbury will have the opportunity to clear the ball long. So there's Hollis now from the clearance, flicks the ball in the direction of Harris, and Harris now in pursuit of it, puts it under a bit of pressure, and clears the ball out, and it will be a throw in to Slough on the near side. Is it going to be an attacking one? Are they going to send Hollis forward? It looks like Hollis wants to go forward, and Hollis Oh, Hollis is leaving it at the moment for Fraser. Fraser down in front of us. Sun now once again comes out here at Holloway's. Remains goalless. Throws it up to Ed Smith. Ed Smith takes the ball off a pass from Warren Harris. Johnny Dyer chests it over to Jake Parsons on the far side. Pulls the trigger. Tipped over the bar. Great chance with Jake Parsons. First and second touches. He got the ball under control. Left-footed kind of half volley from inside the penalty box. Sent the keeper sprawling, but he just tipped it over the bar.
That was a good move. I think if he'd have hit it first time, he may have scored. He took one extra touch, and I think that allowed the keeper to get across. Otherwise, I'm sure that was in, but it is still a corner from this near side.
In swinging corner then. Out swinging corner now, as the ball doesn't beat first man, and now the manager's after it. Jake Parsons now has his third and fourth touches. He's up against the player, but well defended there by the player manager Johnson, who just kind of took the edge off it. He seems to be a real battler and fighter in there as McClure gets the throw in from Harris, and Harris now up against two, manages to break through and still has the ball at his feet. He's going to be able to deliver a cross, delivers a low cross. It's repelled there by Thomas, and Slough putting a bit of pressure on here.
Yes, Jake Parsons got a lucky bounce there and it went back to Warren, but good move, and we've got yet another corner. This is starting to look a little bit better, and the crowd are also getting
a long corner towards the far stick. Simpson heads back across goal, short after it, but just kind of slightly held off it, and Johnny Dyer now tries to get it. Parsons have another opportunity to get it in the box, tries to step round him, but runs into the ever-present Johnson. He can't have those sorts of legs for 90 minutes, can he, Mick?
No, I don't think so. He's looking a bit tired, but it's yet another corner, more pressure.
Slough need to make one of these counts. I'm sure if they get one, it may open the door and the tide may come in. As the ball towards the far post, headed back and out, and now Harris hits the ball in, but it's well blocked there by Blake, and now McClurg's running after it, but it harmlessly out. That was an opportunity. It broke well there for Harris on the edge of the box. It
wasn't a hard enough shot, unfortunately, but it's gone out for a throw-in just in front of us here on the near side.
So just to remind you, as it stands, Dunstable leading 1-0 will win the championship. Rugby winning 4-0 at AFC Hayes, very much glued in for second spot, and if Dunstable slip up, they will be champions. So we're still not sure of where we'll go. As there seemed to be, Johnny Dyer seemed to go a little bit easy to ground there, as a long ball was played through by Fraser with his left foot, and Alderton and Dyer came together. It's a bit of little and large. Sorry, not Alderton. Morris and Dyer came together, and Johnny Dyer kind of went to ground in the edge of the box quite easily.
Yes, far too easily, unfortunately.
And Fraser, who's had a really good game up against McClurg, and McClurg now up against the manager Johnson. Johnson doing well, but out to Bafor, and now on the halfway line, goes back to his right back Brown. Brown now with his left foot clears it up the line, but Woosley's there to repel it, and now Johnny Dyer's got a bit of a chase on up against Alderton, and Alderton's struggling a little bit, not quite decided what to do, hooks it back over himself to the right back Brown. Brown nicely played inside to Wilson, and Wilson will now come across the pitch with a little bit of time, plays it into the left back position to Thomas, and now Thomas with Harris up against him plays the ball down the line towards Hodgson, and Hodgson back to Brown, and Chertsey just keeping the ball quite well now, but finally Hodgson plays a real up and under, which will have Slough interested in a horrible slice there from the manager Johnson, and Johnson doesn't do terribly well with it, but it ends up that Chertsey clear the ball long, and now Simpson has to defend well, does well, and Johnny Dyer clips the ball there, and it might have Jake Parsons away on the far left hand side on the touchline. Not too many Slough players in the box. Cuts inside, passes it to Short, 30 yards out, centre of the goal. Short tried to play an overcomplicated ball and gave the ball away, and now Johnson has the opportunity to come away with the ball. And some of the younger Slough fans nearby are really enjoying their afternoon out. I think they may have had a bit too many E-numbers and chocolates.
Yes, I reckon they have actually. I don't think they've quite been to the bar yet, but that's to come in future years.
We might want to shut the door in a minute, potentially. At this rate, we always love a bit of enthusiasm, but potentially not to this sort of level. The ball's out for a goal kick to Slough. I'm not even sure what they're shouting. Have you got any idea what they're shouting?
Matthew, I think.
As Albury clears the ball long, and Woosley's once again underneath it. His return to the team has just looked like it shored up the defence, and Harris does well, holds his strength off in midfield. Short ball through to Ed Smith. Ed Smith under hits the pass, and he hasn't had the best of afternoons, and Wilson picks him off, and now Chertsey have the opportunity, but Simpson, strong as ever, wins the ball, and now Parsons in there. Parsons battling hard, and Simpson really gets in there and wins the ball hard, seemed to get fouled, appealed, and Mr. Panconi was in agreement, so Slough will have a free kick 5 yards inside the Chertsey half on the very far hand side. They'll have the opportunity to get the ball in the box. Simpson with it, and is Woosley making his way forward? He seems to be, yeah.
Ed's head is down. I think he knows he's not going to play in the final when he's not had the best of days. Too many touches, too many bad touches.
And Rugby are now 5 goals to the good. Free kick. Ed just mistimed his jump there with Woos. It seemed to catch a bit of air. It's out for a goal kick, but interesting. North Greenford have pulled a goal back against Kettering. So North Greenford 2, Kettering 2. Rugby are 5-0. Rugby are putting in work for the title. Dunstable are tweeting. Let's hope Dunstable can maintain it. And please contact us at MyFC Rebels Radio. What do you think is the final outcome going to be? Where do you think Slough are going? And it's fascinating at the moment. Daventry still losing, apparently, the latest conversation we have. But Rugby are very much the form team. I think Slough would do well to avoid them. But first of all, Slough have to get there. As the ball's being fought over and battled in midfield, Blake comes away with it. Pass it out to right back Steve Brown, who got plenty of time, not under any pressure from Slough. 10 yards inside his own half. Chips the ball up the line in the direction of Before, but Simpson comes across, heads the ball back, and Parsons does well, comes back and defends, and now Simpson launches, and that's the only word you can describe it, launches the ball down to the corner, which has Johnny Dyer interested. Let's hope he doesn't foul the player too much, but he gives him a little bit of a shove in the back, and Johnny Dyer clearly frustrated by the lack of service. That wasn't good quality delivery.
That was just a hit and hope, wasn't it, down there? He had no chance. The defender was in total control and just watched it out near the far corner flag. So yet another goal kick to Chertsey. They'll take this result so far, I'm sure they will.
So at the moment, still remains 0-0. We have played almost half of this second half here. It's a lot more tense than perhaps people were giving it credit for when they know Chertsey have resigned to the Combined Counties League, as Warren Harris picks up the ball on the halfway, running with 2 players at his feet, passes the ball back to Sean Fraser and concedes a free kick. Those annoying children are still shouting. As Mick does what's best for all of us and shuts the door so we can't quite hear. And though the true fans behind the goal are shouting a little bit more as Jake Parsons stood over the free kick 10 yards outside the box and 10 yards deep. Referee just making sure the Chertsey Wolves back far enough as Parsons outswinging towards the far post, headed back across goal by Johnny Dyer, but he was underneath it and it went straight up and over the bar and harmlessly out for a goal kick.
Yes, a very, very bitter game, isn't it? We could have done with the Ashford start with 3 in 7 minutes and then just wrapped it up, but it's not happened. Chertsey, to be fair, have defended quite well, but we have given them opportunity to defend quite well.
Long goal kick taken and won there initially by Blake, but Wooslow has it inside his own half, clips the ball up to Johnny Dyer. Johnny Dyer flicks onto Ed Smith, takes a couple of touches, just has it nicked off him by Johnson, but Short's there, and Short now a simple ball to Fraser. Fraser will give it back to Short, 10 yards inside the Chertsey half on the near side. Short inside to Woosley, just advancing over the centre circle D. Woosley with a few touches, picks a pass to Johnny Dyer, whose touch is quite heavy but still continues to hold up the ball, tries to pass it back to Woosley but comes back away from him, and Johnny Dyer still got the ball, clips it infield, but Woosley's forward, Short towards the edge of the box, make it onto this flick from Ed Smith, but well defended there by Chertsey. Chertsey are hanging on a little bit here as Fraser goes forward. Short now has a touch, Short's ball through, perhaps overhit, but Fraser will try and get it across. Fraser does well but doesn't quite get the ball across, and now it's with Johnson on the near side. Manager will try and just does the right thing, wins the throw on off Short, and the danger's averted for now.
We've got at least one sub coming on very shortly. I can't quite see who it is.
I think that's Steve Duff by the looks of things on the far side. Is stripped and ready to go.
So who's going to go off?
I think it depends on what they think and how much they're keeping aware. I can see Baker is looking at a phone, so he's aware of what's going on in other areas. So he may well be looking to see what is going on. It's still 0-0 here. Hollis with a long throw up in the direction of Johnny Dyer, and good stretch there from Morris just to head the ball away, but it's still bobbing around in the final third as the ball's hooked up, and Woosley will win this. It looks as if number 6 will be coming off, which is George Short, so Ben Edwards might be coming on in the middle midfield as McClurg, the 2 number 8s are battling, McClurg up against Johnson, and Chertsey come away with the ball. Heavy touch there though by Hodgson, and it will be a throw into Slough on the halfway line, but there's going to be a substitute here, and George Short making no short game of making I thought he'd played one of his better games recently today.
Yes, I have. I was wondering if that 6 was upside down, it was going to be Ed. Ed's one of those players you could take off, but he's just likely to produce one spark of genius, and you never quite know. But he's not been in that sort of form today at all. He's really had a poor game as far as I'm concerned.
Sorry, who's Short?
No, Ed. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, Ed,
So I was
sorry,
just
no.
wondering if the 6 was upside
Yeah,
down
yeah, no.
at first.
He just doesn't seem to have had his head quite there. But
No,
Duff
he's
now
not.
made his way forward on the left. So I think Parsons will then slot into the middle with his right foot and give him a little bit of space, just give a different option. But Chertsey now have the opportunity to attack, and a great ball through for a foot race between Before and Somerville comes an awful long way, but left-footed clearance. There's people with their hands on their head, but he's done very well to come out. Left-footed clearance, puts it out of play and alleviate the pressure. And Ed Smith is running to get that ball back quickly so that Chertsey maintain a little bit of pace in this game. We have just over 20 minutes left in this game. Slough are still drawing here 0-0, but as far as we're aware, Royston are still in the position of losing. Barton are in the position of losing. Rugby 6 now at Hayes. So Rugby are very much pushing, and they're pushing their goal difference on a little bit. As a clearance there from McClurg, clearance from Johnson gets caught by McClurg. McClurg protesting his innocence, and Johnson lapping it up for every minute he can. I think he's just a little bit tired now, and Chertsey just taking a little bit of the pace out of the game.
It was a something and nothing tackle because he hasn't even had a word with the Rebels lad at all. Strangely enough, the Chertsey players got up and walking away quite happily now. Funny that, isn't it?
So, free kick taken by Chertsey now have the opportunity to get in the Slough half. They haven't had too many, but they give the ball away quickly. But now win it back well on the far side with Blake, and now Wilson tries to play the ball forward, but Masoke's in an offside position, and Slough will look to clear this quickly. Somerville races out his goal, throws the ball forward to Woosley, and Woosley places it, and Somerville will take it. Not a lot more activity on the bench at the moment, but that's meat and drink there for Alderton. And Alderton wins it, and Steve Duff goes in quite hard there on the right back, but no fouls doing, and the referee has seen something. He's played a little bit of advantage, now pulls it back, and this will just frustrate Slough a little bit.
Yes, it will. I don't know if the players are aware of what's happening elsewhere, but they almost seem resigned to the fact they're going to get a draw, which frightens me.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. There's a player there gone to ground quite easily. He looks as there's another ball on the pitch. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but Warren Harris quickly clears it out of the pitch. I think that must have come from one of the juniors. But Somerville's clearance out his hands towards John Diar, flicks off and in the direction of the goalkeeper, and the keeper picks it up well. Alsbury. That was almost like a bit of an old pinball there.
Yes, there's a lot of high balls going in, and we don't normally play like that. We normally play it around quite well. We've just not done that today.
No, I think the players are feeling the tension here. Is Duff goes for the return ball from there, Johnny Dyer, but the quality's just lacking a little bit. The quality's just lacking.
Yeah, that was played way too hard for me. He got no chance of getting that one at all. Throwing on the far side, halfway inside the Chertsey half.
Yeah, on the far side, Brown with the ball in his hand throws it up the line. Simpson wins again in the air. Jake Parsons does well to win it, but only Wilson coming away with the ball, and then Hollis steps away from it. Now, for the first time, Harris has got a bit more opportunity with it, but Johnson does well, but only passes it out to Fraser. Fraser cuts it inside to Warren Harris, who takes a touch, runs into the box. The ball's trying to be desperately cleared there by Thomas, but it's bubbling around still, and Parsons closes it down. But once again, Johnson comes away with the ball, tries to play a long ball forward. Woosley's on top of it, though, and Chertsey are tiring here. Long ball through there now to find Johnny Dyer. Johnny Dyer touch back to Ed Smith. Ed Smith, edge of the box, deflected, looping in, but touched over at the last minute by Aylesbury. The goal is coming. I am confident the goal is coming.
That was a far better move, and Ed looked as though he wanted to score there. It did hit a defender. I would have been very interested to see what happened if it hadn't have done. So I think that might have been goal bound. And all credit again to the keeper. He got back on his line and tipped it over.
So yet another corner for the Rebels to take. It's on the near side. I think Steve Duff's gone across to take it with his left foot, swing it in. Plenty of movement. It's a very high lofted one towards the far stick. Woosley's underneath it. Woosley heads it back and down and into the box. Johnny Dyer overhead kick, but cleared finally by Ed Thomas, and it's out for an attacking throw on the far side. The grey clouds are coming. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a shower in the next 15 minutes or so if it continues to come over. But Hollis is now stood on the far side against the wall. Long throw in. All the tall players remain forward. Simpson's in the box. Woosley at the near post, and it's in his direction. Tries to flick it on, goes back, and Woosley will now have a little run at it. He'll flick the ball back in the direction of Hollis. Hollis will now try and deliver the ball into the box. Took a heavy touch, clips it in. Everyone ducks underneath it. It bounces off Ed Smith, and Chertsey then clear it up to halfway. Jake Parsons has an opportunity to take a touch, clips the ball over the far side back in the direction of Woosley. Woosley, right-footed, hooks the ball back in, but it's headed away by Alton. And now Johnson will come away with the ball, but only does as well as to pass it to Parsons. And now Parsons to Harris, and Harris running into the near right-hand corner with Thomas in support. We can't see what's happening down in there, but the ball is out for a Slough throw, and there's plenty of players in the way. Sorry we couldn't be more accurate there, but Slough are now attacking again, and ball thrown back to Fraser, and Fraser will deliver into the box. But the ball is blocked by Blake, and is it a corner? I believe it's a corner.
It's a corner, yes it is. Another one.
Kettering have scored a third. Kettering have retaken the lead. Kettering 2, North Greenford 2, Kettering 3. So Kettering again leapfrog back up as the corner comes in. Low corner comes out to Jake Parsons on the edge of the box. It's fired back in, but blocked initially, and now well cleared initially by Morris, and he'll clear for a second time up the line. This will have Before interested, and Before's got plenty of air in front of it. It's almost 3-on-3 for Slough here as they play the ball forward, and now McClurg's back up against Masoke, and Masoke on the right hand edge of the box tries to clip it across. It's a very, very deep cross which will come to Blake on the other side of the pitch. Blake now up against Fraser in the Slough right back position, and Blake crosses it right footed. Parsons chooses, Somerville chooses to punch. Parsons now has the ball at his feet, and now it's a very open game as Warren Harris picks up on midfield, and now Parsons driving through the centre, tries to pick a pass, passes it outside of Steve Duff. Can Steve Duff do enough to keep it in? He can't. It's just that final pass that's eluding them at the moment.
There was space if it passed it inside towards the edge of the 18-yard box, and he put it outside.
Sorry, 393 was that, I think. I think the attendance was 393.
393,
which is a fantastic attendance. It's almost as good as the rugby one last weekend. I would say a good quarter of those are youngsters, as Chertsey are back defending deep in their own half. They throw the ball up the line. Fraser heads it inwards to Harris. Harris heads it in the direction of Duff, and Duff flicks it on, and now it's bouncing around. Harris driving into the box, right at edge, but held up there by two players, still in that right hand corner, tries to cross the ball across, doesn't get enough on it, so Alderson takes a touch and then beats it around. Duff does quite well, but now Fraser takes the ball, and that's very close to a penalty, and it's a penalty to Slough! Out of nothing there is a penalty to Slough, and that was very unfortunate. Alderson overcomplicated things, trying to play out of the box on the edge, just got caught by Fraser and took it round him, and Fraser was heading nowhere near goal, but he just stuck out a leg and took him over. So a penalty to Slough, and who is going to take this? Slough have missed a lot of penalties this season. There's not a player running to get the ball. Johnny Dyer is the man. This could be huge. This could be absolutely massive, as Johnny Dyer has the ball at his hands. He's going to have a penalty in the 33rd minute of the second half. So we have about 12 minutes to go, and this goal could put Slough in the playoffs.
Morris hurt himself when he tripped him. It was only just inside the box as well, but it was a definite
penalty. Fraser's down on the ground. I'm not sure whether he's injured or doesn't want to watch.
He doesn't want to watch.
Somerville doesn't want to watch. Johnny Dyer lining up with it. Long run up. Hits the ball low to the keeper's left, and it's a goal for Slough! Slough lead 1-0. And you can hear the voice eruption. Open the window, open the door, Mick. Squeaky bum time is over. A great penalty from Johnny Dyer down to the bottom left-hand corner as we look at it. The keeper went to his left, the ball went to his right, and Slough take the lead. So Johnny Dyer scores on the 79th minute.
Morris is still gutted he gave that kick away, and he's still limping. Yes, it was a definite penalty. He just apologised to the keeper for that one. We've deserved it.
Yes,
we have deserved it for the possession we've had.
It had been coming, so a massive goal. Slough will now push on. There's no opportunity for them to catch either Kettering or Dunstable ahead of them, so let's not worry about that. They can only finish fifth. But Slough now have to tighten up and just do the simple basic things right. And Ed Smith is now potentially in, but Matt Morris, the long ball there from Woos, was guided back well by Morris, who nearly just got underneath it, and we have got about 10 minutes to play.
74 minutes roughly, that goal. Thank goodness for that.
I made it more like 79, Mick, but anyway.
79. I knew it was. I was just checking.
Your maths is brilliant.
Thank you.
Well, you know, a tight Yorkshireman is always very kind of.
We always want a discount.
Exactly, you need a discount. As Duff there just heads the ball long, and it will be interesting. We don't want Slough to go into their shells for these last 10 minutes, but this is the opportunity that Slough wanted. They lead 1-0 in this very tense game. Potters Bar 2, Beaconsfield 0. In the rest of the playoff games, Rugby are winning 6-0 at AFC Hayes. Dunstable just a goal as far as we're aware. A single goal to the good at Uxbridge. So that is the real game to watch for any neutrals out there, to see whether it remains 0-0. Sorry, it's 2-0. No, it is 1-0. I'm going mad. I'm just talking too much. It's Uxbridge reserves are 2-0 against Tooting and Mitcham, but we don't really care about that. As the ball's down in the very far right-hand corner for Chertsey, deep in their own half, they've got a throw in, and the referee's just stopping things. He's asking for the corner flag, I think, to be put up. The MyFC corner flag is down.
Well, Ed Smith just tackled it, so he's disappeared now.
Was it the best tackle he's put in today?
It's about the best one. It's the first one he's got right, I think.
And Warren Harris now driving towards the edge of the box with a player up against him. Chipped the ball across in the direction of Harris, but falls. And McClurg volleys it from the edge of the box. And McClurg picks up the second ball, battling well in there. And now Fraser has a go. Fraser flicks it over for Harris to try and drive the ball in. Harris taking his time, drives a low ball across, but doesn't do well. Falls to Ed Thomas, and Ed Thomas sets it up to halfway. And now Hollis will just relax. Slough will slow it down a little bit as we are in the final 10 minutes. The referee's just holding up play while a rather large steward in very bright blue shoes and a very high visible jacket is just repairing the corner flag over the far side.
That's Slough's chief steward that's doing that, you know.
More like a bar steward, but anyway, we won't go into that. As the throw goes long down the line, flicked inside by Johnny Dyer. Warren Harris can't quite deal with it, but the ball's still back in that area, and Johnny Dyer does very well, closes down Ed Thomas, and it's Slough still pressing Chertsey back in their own half. And Fraser wins the ball, but it falls to Johnson in his own half, 10 yards outside his own 18-yard box, hits it back to his 18-yard box. And now the ball up to halfway, which Woozy wins well in the air. And now Parsons battling for it. And now McClurg hooks the ball over, and Ed Smith's kind of after it, but gives up the chase. And Captain Alderton heads the ball back well to Alsbury. I think Alderton's been quite a rock at the back there, apart from his one misnomer, and it's a poor day, unfortunately. Hollis, who again has been a rock, heads the ball clear, but it's only as far as before. Now Slough in their own half pressed, and Simpson comes back and combines well with Woosley to clear the ball. And now Duff on the left-hand edge clips a great ball through, and Ed Smith was well onside there, and he's just putting pressure on them. Slough are playing the ball in the right areas here.
Well, we're keeping it down in their half of the pitch. We've got to make sure when they attack, we defend so well. We've seen this before, them giving goals away. We can't afford to do it.
So at the moment, it's a throw-in to Chertsey's on the far side. Slough, the first substitution, and probably the only substitution I would think coming from Chertsey. And off is coming Alan Masoke, who's had a great game. He's been working tirelessly up there, but he's done his bit in the 83rd minute, and on comes Khaled Ahmed. So we have about 7 minutes of normal time here, plus injury time. And on comes Ahmed for Masoke.
That's their first sub?
Yes, that's their first. Judging by their bench, I think that's going to be their only sub.
Well, there's two named, and you're right, I haven't seen the other one.
Chris Payne, I think, is the other, the kind of almost the assistant manager, stood leaning against the side of the dugout in shorts.
Yes.
But he also was the water boy in the first half, so I'm not sure what will happen if he comes on. Long throw there from Simpson, finds Johnny Dyer, who gives it back to Simpson, but Simpson now loses out on the ball, but it falls to McClurg. Johnny Dyer now, edge of the 18-yard box, faced towards his own goal. Does well, keeps possession of the ball, passes it back to Fraser. Now Fraser will have an opportunity to drive it into the box, but ball bobbled terribly, and he's cleared it almost out of the ground. It is just rolling down into the car park. That's going to hit my car. And
I think mine. I think mine's there.
And so it's a goal kick, which now all of a sudden Gary Alsbury has legs, and he wants to run and take these kicks a little bit quicker. But at the moment, as far as we're aware, unless Dunstable falter, Slough will be travelling to Rugby on Tuesday night. Goal, Barton 0, Northwood 3. So Barton are done. Barton are absolutely done. Slough are pretty much guaranteed. Even if they draw, they're guaranteed. As Warren Harris drives into the box, lovely 1-2, tries to pass the ball across to Ed Smith, and does a lovely 1-2 with Johnny Dyer on the edge of the box. Gets the ball back, rather unselfishly passes it across to Johnny Dyer, and Ed Smith in the challenge just clips it over the bar, but wins a corner. I would have thought Harris would have been better to have a shot there.
Yes, I thought he would, but give Steve Brown credit there for coming across and cutting it out with Ed coming in, because Ed had a golden opportunity, and I think he would have put it away.
It's a corner to Slough, and Steve Duff's made his way over to the right corner, and the corner's all the way over on the left corner, so Duff doesn't look too impressed by that, and so Duff's not making his time up very quickly, and now Parsons will choose to take it on the far right-hand side. Slough not gambling too many players forward. Simpson's hanging back at the moment, but Barton 0, Northwood 3. That's the big result that we're all interested in. As Parsons delivers the ball towards the far post. Woosley's underneath it. Woosley free header, leaning back over the bar. It was an opportunity. But at the moment, Slough are heading into the playoffs. Slough will travel to Rugby, as far as we're aware, on Tuesday night.
Who can predict these results? Northwood getting a 3. I know they're a fairly good side, but Northwood getting 3. Egham putting 4 past Daventry on Wednesday. Aylesbury beating us 3-1. It's been madness this season. It's been great, but I could do without it, to be honest.
Aylesbury's long clearance comes up, won at halfway by Blake and hooked up by McClurg in the direction, but once again the skipper Alderton's done very well. We've got about 4 minutes plus injury times left. Fraser still looking to go forward here with the ball, throws it to Parsons. Parsons back to Fraser. Fraser to Parsons again, and Parsons now tries to chip up the line, overhits it to Harris. Now Parsons down in the right hand corner, tries to get the cross across it. The ball's blocked and it'll be a throw into Slough on the near side. Really slowing it down here. Hollis isn't going forward. Lots of Slough fans making their way around. They want to cheer. They want to cheer their flow. Long throw comes in. Harris turns in the box, has an opportunity to shoot, but in comes Thomas, and Thomas now clears the ball up to halfway line, which Simpson has underneath it. Agricultural ball, which has Fraser gambling, and for some reason the left back stopped, and now Fraser has a great opportunity to pass it, and Steve Duff leaning back on the penalty spot, clips it over the bar, but goodness knows what Ed Thomas was doing there.
Nobody went. There were 2 Slough players went down there. Ed went down there. Nobody went with them. They had plenty of time. The ball came back across, and I think, to be fair, it did bobble, and I think your windscreen's gone through with that one.
Yes, so at the moment it will finish Dunstable first, Rugby second, Kettering third, Daventry fourth, Slough fifth. So Slough will travel to Rugby, and then it will be the winners of Rugby versus Slough against the winners of Kettering versus Daventry in the final. So if Slough were to make it, they'd face another away trip to either Daventry or Kettering.
Neither of which are ideal on a Tuesday night, travelling as far as you can go in this league, isn't it?
So they'll travel to Rugby on this Tuesday, and then the final will be on the Bank Holiday Mondays. Harris, once again, breaking down the right, just loses his feet, does well to do a sliding tackle. Ed Smith, 30 yards from goal, looks to run it out to Steve Duff on the left, passes the ball out there. Duff got a little bit of time now, as Chertsey Town in these last 5-10 minutes tries to beat it round Brown. Brown does enough and concedes the corner on the far side, which Parsons won't be in any hurry to take. We've played 43 minutes here of the second half. We have 2 minutes remaining. Slough leading 1-0. They are almost guaranteed this playoff spot. They are leading 1-0. The other game, Barton are trailing 3-0 at home to Northwood. So Slough will be there on merit. Slough having scored their 101st goal. Woos again with a free header over the bar. Hopefully he'll get one a little bit closer. Perhaps he's warming up and he'll get one of those on Tuesday and bang it in.
Let's hope so. He didn't quite get far enough back. But again, it's the pressure. We've had the pressure. And I think apart from when Jake ran out pretty early on in this second half to cut out that long ball, Jake's not had that much to do, to be honest. We've well deserved it.
Full-time Hayes 0, Rugby 6. So Rugby knocking on the door. Everyone watches for the Dunstable result with interest. The ball's bobbling around in midfield, and Harris now has it near side, inside the Chertsey half to Johnny Dye. Johnny Dye, plenty of time, looks to clip a ball forward into the corner, and Warren Harris controls with his chest, tries to just win the throw, but the sub Ahmed nutmegs him and comes away with the ball well. But good challenge from Fraser, and now Fraser loses out there, and Johnny Dyer's off in pursuit, but the ball's bobbling around. People just need to calm, and Woosley puts a good ball into the corner, and Johnny Dyer's after it. Johnny Dyer takes his time, crosses a great ball across, too far in front of Ed Smith, but Steve Duff coming in at the far post, edge of the 18-yard box, back to Jake Parsons. Jake Parsons into the edge of the 18-yard box. Ball at his feet still. Simple pass away to Steve Duff. Steve Duff cuts inside. Diving tackle there by Chertsey. Well timed though by Wilson. And now Chertsey come away with the ball still. This game isn't dead. We're into the final minute of the 90.
Free kick to Chertsey as well.
At Kettering, we're into stoppage time. So everyone's eyes are on Twitter for these other results as Johnson clears the ball deep and out of play, and Slough are just seeing this game out with some composure. I think they know what's going on in the Barton game. They know that it's not a pressured situation. But we will try our best to get Rebels radios. If we're allowed by Rugby, we will be up there on Tuesday night to do a live broadcast, 7:45 Tuesday. Don't be anywhere else unless you're going to be at Butlins Road Rugby, as Mick may well be. Let's get yourselves onto the radio and support Slough in what will be a terrific away day on a Tuesday night. A tough game at Rugby. As the throw-in on the far side from Duff comes to Parsons. Parsons near side to Fraser, plenty of time, plenty of opportunity, plays it short to Parsons. Parsons now near side, back to Fraser. Just happy to keep the ball. They're not in under any hurry or pressure, and Parsons still has the ball near side to Fraser. Fraser to Johnny Dye. Johnny Dye does a controls the ball well, going just down into the corner, pursued by the manager Johnson, but Johnny Dyer just loses the ball. Now McClurg's interested. McClurg picks it up at edge of the box, passes it across to Warren Harris. Warren Harris tries to get it to Ed Smith, but away will come Alderton with the ball and passes it to Baffour. Baffour now having a foot race, very much held back there by Simpton, and Simpton will get booked for that, I would think.
Yeah, fully deserved. And he'd no need to, because the defender was coming across there. That was very, very silly. I think Dave Woolsey was coming across, and yeah, he's got his name taken. Silly boy.
So Simpton booked, and it was just a cynical one, just to prevent the ball going, but it will give Chertsey a final opportunity to put the ball into the box. It looks like just on the halfway line, over towards the dugouts, Brown will have the opportunity to clear the ball long into the box. Underwood and Baker in cahoots on the far side, just waiting to hear other news. Full time, Dunstable 1, Uxbridge 0 as Hollis comes away with the ball over halfway, but Dunstable are champions. Repeat, Dunstable are champions. Slough will travel to Rugby on Tuesday night as Hollis is in the box, unusually, just tries to cross the ball in with his left foot towards Harris on the penalty spot, but Harris doesn't quite get it, and now Johnny Dyer playing in the centre midfielder, again a bit of a cynical, nasty tackle, and just having a little word, I think. I'm not sure who with. Is it with the player manager, Dave Johnson? Yeah, I think Johnson may have said something a little bit too much, or it might actually be the Thomas the fullback. Just having a word as Slough are trying to hold it back. But yes, Dunstable 1, Uxbridge 0. Dunstable are champions, and well done to them. Dunstable 1, Uxbridge 0 is the big result of the day. So Dunstable are champions. We'll keep an eye on the other results coming in. Slough congratulate Dunstable on their championship victory on Twitter, and now Thomas, for a stupid reason, just carried on talking, got himself in the book, and it was really unnecessary. I think Panconi and the referees had a really good game. It's been played in quite a good spirit, to be fair. There hasn't really been very many nasty tackles. Simpson was just cynical, but the keeper's 10 yards inside his own half on the right, about to take a throw-in.
And Thomas is still having a go at him. He's just been cautioned. He's waving his arms about at the ref.
Kettering will be at home to Daventry on Tuesday night. Latimer Place, they are already advertising that. And there goes the final whistle. And Slough are in the playoffs. Slough meet their ambitions, and they will travel to Rugby on Tuesday night in what was a fairly kind of one-sided second half. I think the players shake hands. It was a solid professional performance, and I think all that's left to do, Mick, is for us to say thank you very much for listening. We'll join you on Tuesday night, and all have a great afternoon and evening, no matter where you are.
And I think I shall go to the bar very shortly. Thank you.